from another planet? Is Janet 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 from another planet?
Today's digital landscape with the spread of false information can lead to dangerous outcomes. It's crucial for everyone to think critically and verify sources and reflect on the impact of what they share. Let's promote responsible communication to ensure that truth prevails and actions remain rooted in reality.
The opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
The following program is rated TV MA LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Friday Night Shit Show. So I just want to thank all my panel for hanging out with me tonight, and welcome back, Ruben. We missed you.
Hello. Just kidding. No, I heard a little bit of the show last week, and then I went to bed.
Well, welcome, Richard. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Anybody else want a Fanta?
And thank you, Chris, for hanging out with me again tonight on Friday Night Shit Show. So as we know, we've had a lot of shit that's been going down in all different areas of the United States and around the world. Other things are going on, with Iran and whatever, but I'm mostly focused on what's going on here with different things that are going on in the different states, that they're still bringing out fraud, tons and tons of fraud with our tax dollars, because whether or not you pay taxes in Arkansas or Texas or Minnesota or wherever, guess what? It's getting used in other places in the United States, not just in our states. So it's important that we stop all the fraud, because if fraud's coming from your pocket and going to another state, you're still getting ripped off. So I would rather see that money being put where it belongs, back in the coffers where people that have been paying it for Social Security or for other things, for Medicaid or whatever it was we need, our veterans, that's where the money should go. And the fact that we actually have a president and an administration that actually cares and is trying to plug all the holes, I'm happy about. And Chris and I talked about this last night. What's funny is that we're finally starting to see results from cutting off the fraud. The Democrats are having to beg people not to kick them out of their buildings because now they can't pay their bills because they don't have fraud money. So that's a good thing. I mean, it really is. And if we can just hang in long enough, we will start seeing more things happening when there's no money for them. Because when they can't spend your money, guess what? They don't have no money because they're not going to spend
Mhm.
their own money. They're only going to spend your money. So
Well,
I'm like, yeah, go ahead.
did you hear about, because we talked about this on Fireside Chat Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
was asking the question, is the DNC broke? Because they are using the DNC headquarters in Washington, D.C. as collateral for a loan to be able to get through the midterm elections.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
That's a good sign.
this is the first time I can remember any major political party having to go out and taking loans from banks to fund midterm elections,
Mm-hmm.
and also having to put up collateral for it. So that's got me asking the question of, since US aid got shit canned, why are they having to do stuff like this? Makes you ask a question, don't it? I mean,
Yeah.
it's like during the summer of love, when you had all these violent protests going on, and they were finding all of these piles of bricks and 2x4s and things like this dropped off in the middle of these urban areas on the side of the road, and nobody knew where it came from or how it got there. It makes you ask the question of, where did this come from?
Y'all ever heard screw you and screw you again? Like, let's say a man that goes to child support court or whatever, right? That's a good example of screw you and screw you again. Okay. That they're not using our tax dollars. This is the fiat money game.
Mm-hmm.
And that $28 trillion they spent from the time GW left the White House and now, which I think is even more than that. We're at 36 trillion, 38 trillion, whatever. That's fiat money. So they get the fiat money and they give the fiat money to all their friends, and that's fraud, and they've given this money away. Here's the catch to fiat money. They're loans from China,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so if you look at who has the most gold, America holds $60 trillion worth of gold. And what the Democrats decided to do when Obama came in was take all the gold. Okay, we raided a ranch house in Indonesia within days of President Trump taking his first inaugural address. And we go down there, we find $400 million worth of US gold, right? You take US gold out of this country, and that is a US Treasury crime.
Mm-hmm.
So they find this $400 million down there, and somebody tipped them off because there were lit cigars and hot coffee and coffee cups on the table of the room they went in, and they could not figure out where they went. Now after days and days of looking, they found tunnels they used, but this had to be Americans. It happened right after that, and Obama's father, Lulu Soetoro, was the king of Indonesia. Yeah. So figure out on that, but whatever you want. But I knew people that were on that trip. That really happened.
It's
Well, what
amazing.
tears me up, okay, the national debt is a debt we owe ourselves for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the American people have been stressed out about this. And the fact that the money disappears like as a Thanos snap away, and nobody knows where the money went to. How many times has attempts to audit the Fed they'll say, we're going to audit the Fed. By law, if the Secretary of the Treasury says, I want to audit the Fed, it's supposed to happen the next day by law.
Mm-hmm.
At any time the Secretary of the Treasury decides, I want to audit the Fed, he's supposed to be able to walk into their office and say, I want an audit today. And they're supposed to start that audit. And if he was to decide he wanted to audit the Fed every other day, he has that right by law. Let that sink in. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but there's a book that the people who did the Tuttle Twins put out a book called True Conspiracies, talking about the monster that came from Jekyll Island,
Mm-hmm.
which is where all these big time power players got together on Jekyll Island off the coast of South Carolina and came up with the Federal Reserve and wanted to keep the Federal Reserve out from under the control of Congress. It's one of the reasons why, unlike most countries, we don't have a Bank of the United States, even though we've had two. We had the first bank and the second bank. If I remember right, the second bank got put down by Andrew Jackson. And Daryl says they'll just redefine what an audit means. And yes, you're right. But at least it'll be on the record.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to do something about the fact that the Fed has more power illegally gained than the U.S. Treasury Department.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to be kept in check.
You don't think that Trump is got something in the works with all of this, with everything that we're watching unfold, with each department from the different branches of the government? I'm amazed how much we've been able to get finished, even though a lot of people say it's not much, it's nothing. I'm not saying my gas prices go down. They're not even, they're thinking this just what's in my little circle right here around my house. They're not thinking about the whole United States.
They're also not looking at how big of an issue the federal government has gotten to be.
Uh-huh.
Now, I don't like this little dude, Grover Norquist guy.
Yeah.
Never really much liked him, but I do like one of the things he said. And that was he wanted to keep the federal government small enough that if somebody got cheesed off enough, they could grab them and drown them in the toilet.
Yeah, I think I've heard somebody say that. Maybe it was you. But well, the first thing I want to share tonight, there's a couple of good things. Just like I said, I try to share good stuff when I see it. And there's been a couple good things, and that I'm proud that we have a president that likes to share it. And this was shared. I want to share this with everyone. This was shared by Donald Trump on his timeline on Truth Social. And I'm going to play the video for you. But it says President Trump just announced that he'll be inviting this heroic 16-year-old lifeguard to the White House and awarding him a high civilian honor. The lifeguard was caught on video risking his life to save a 10-year-old boy who fell off his surfboard at Cypress Beach in California. And POTUS posted the video and confirmed the invite was sent. And I want you guys to see it in case you hadn't, because it's very dramatic. And you could tell at the end of the video, when these other two lifeguards come running over to help, that both of them, the young boy and this young 16-year-old, are exhausted, because you can tell. I don't know if any of you have ever been stuck in rip current before, but I'm telling you, it's really hard because you don't know which way's up. You cannot tell when you're being it's like a washing machine, and it's a scary thing. When I watch this, my heart just pumped out of my chest. My knuckles were white because all you're wanting to do is help them, because that's all your first instinct is to try to help, but you can't because it's a video. But I want to share it, and I was just so proud that we have such a president that's willing to share this type of information about somebody he's never met, someone who never he'd not even know about if he hadn't found out about seeing a video, just like us, just like you and I see it on TV, or someone says something and you try to find the video to see it. But it's nice to have a president that actually cares and wants to reward people for doing good things, especially this young man who saved a little boy's life. That's something that he'll remember for the rest of his life. But here we go. See, that water is not very deep, but the current is so strong it takes the sand right out from under your feet.
And you can see how far it threw them.
And he's exhausted. See, they were way out there, but he got him in this close. But you see how bad that is? That is, people don't realize that is dangerous. That's riptide right there.
I'm wearing a Cocoa Beach shirt, and they're really bad there. But they reported yesterday there was another one of these in Coral Gables, and the young boy, they were able to get him out, but he died in the emergency room.
But you can tell that this lifeguard was well trained, because the fact that he goes underwater right when the current is coming, so that he can keep his feet planted in the bottom the best he can into the sand. It's a miracle. But they did a great job. That boy lived, and he should be so proud of himself. I'm so proud of him. You can tell how tired he is.
I'm just hoping that because Trump is the one that's celebrating.
Look at the ropes. It's all tangled up in the ropes and stuff.
I'm just hoping that the Democrats don't attack the kid for getting celebrated by Trump.
Oh, every time I watch this, I just get so emotional. This is so wonderful.
I saw a TikTok clip with his father, and his father said, "My son told me that he did not know if he was going to live, not even after they got him up on the beach." And there's something weird, like if you drown in a swimming pool and they pump your lungs, that's fine. But when you drown in salt water, you can have a secondary drowning that occurs days or even weeks after the initial drowning, because the salt reacts with the tissue in your lungs. Then they fill back up with fluid from your body trying to fight the salt. So,
well, yeah,
I mean, he's not out of the woods yet, really.
Out. It's trying to get the salt out of your lungs, because it's inside all those little sacs that are in there. They're supposed to have oxygen in them. And a lot of people don't realize that. But that is so emotional to me. And I'm so thankful. I would be so proud of my child, to have survived that. And the fact that my son would have saved someone's life like that. That is just an honor in itself. And I'm thankful that just because President Trump shared that this kid will be known as a hero because of it. And that makes me proud also to be an American, because we have people in this country that care about doing good things for other people. Total stranger, that's a selfless job, just like being a police officer, a paramedic, all these jobs that they're out there that hardly ever get any recognition. But when you're, no matter what a dickhead you are, and you're afraid in your house that someone's breaking in, who do you call? 911. Who do you call when your chest is hurting? 911. Okay, it doesn't matter who you are, but you're going to call for help. Okay, and that's why our country, I really do believe, is one of the best in the world. And I'm so thankful that we have a wonderful POTUS that's going to reward this young man. And I'm just thankful for him. I shared the link in the chat. And hopefully, yeah, anyone who hasn't seen this or just seeing it tonight, you will share that with other people, because he needs a pat on the back, because he did a good job. And whoever hired him to be work on the beach at 16 years old, to risk his life, life and limb, because there's sharks out there too. I suppose to remember that. So I just wanted to share that, because that really did. It just made my heart feel good, and we all need that. We all need to share some good things sometimes, because there is good things happening right now every single day, even though we think we see nothing but hate and shit and crap and bullshit, which it's out there, but there's good stuff happening also. Babies are being born, puppies are being born, trees are growing, it rains, and we have crops, we have good stuff that's still happening. So don't ever just give up and think that, oh, it's over, it's nothing worth anything, because there's always something good waiting around the corner if you just are patient enough and you open your eyes and look around and try to see the good stuff that we do have. So I just wanted to share that. And then this next thing is another good thing, because we do have a lot of shit we're going to be talking about in a little bit. But I just wanted to share this other thing I found. I thought was really cool. You might have seen this already, but it's another great thing that happened. And it was a total stranger who gave of himself to help someone else, and he just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and he was dressed as Spider-Man when he did it. Chris clocks out of his trampoline park job in Jonesboro, Arkansas, still wearing the Spidey suit from Superhero Day, stops at a red light and sees a man in a wheelchair struggling. He doesn't hesitate to help him. He didn't realize that, it was on camera or anything like that, and he just did what he thought he had to do, and then he saved somebody from being run over, and he was in a wheelchair. So I'm going to share it real quick, his the whole experience that he had when he was on the news. So here we go.
That day I had work at my trampoline park. I've been there for about 3 years, and we've been doing fence toddlers. And so happened that day was Superhero Day. So I've been going out at least once a month or once a week throughout that month, just trying to get attention. And I was at the right place at the right time, and apparently the right suit as well.
So you were wearing the Spidey suit on a Tuesday. Was that bound for work, Chris, or what?
Yeah, I just walked out of work, and I was heading back home. I was into the grocery store and then back home, and I was stopped there at that red light. That's when I noticed the man having a little bit of trouble, and I didn't think much about it. I just went out there and I helped him, and I didn't think he was going to blow up at all. I really didn't think anyone saw it, to be honest.
Yeah, and actually, this is pretty interesting, because you've been Spider-Man fans since you were a kid. We have this photo of you with your parents at the Comic-Con convention in Chicago when you were just a youngster.
Look at
Now
that.
you have headlines like this, People Magazine, 20-year-old in Spider-Man costume, 18 New York Times, was wearing a Spider-Man suit, a man in a wheelchair needed help. Entertainment Weekly, Fox News, and right now you are on your way to Hollywood. Chris, you're going to go to the premiere. The timing couldn't be better.
Yeah, I know. It's a huge blessing for sure. I've never expected any of this to happen, and I'm glad that it happened. And I hope that I can use it and just try to spread more love out there, try to reach the right people, and try to just do good with this.
Yeah, I was looking up Jonesboro, population 83,000 northeast of Little Rock. That's a 6-lane road. Chris, you know what some people are going to say? They're going to say it was either a coincidence or irony or maybe something else at work here. But you got the big premiere for the new movie coming up. You're literally talking to us in Memphis, Tennessee at the airport as you fly out to Hollywood as a special guest. Some people are going to say, nah, there's just too many common lines here for this to be true. What would you say to them?
So, no, nobody reached out to me before. This was not anything to promote this movie. It was all it just happened. It just happened. None of it was planned at all. I'm surprised this even left Arkansas, my state. It's crazy how it's worldwide now. And I'm extremely grateful, and I thank everyone that got me here. I thank my friends now and my family. And you know, thank you to Sony too for doing this for me and inviting me out there.
Amazing,
Well,
right?
I hope you have a great time.
Yeah, have a good time.
The good thing about it is the fact that he was recognized for it in a good way because he did a good deed. And there's nothing wrong with patting someone on the back when they do good stuff. We should reward people for doing good. Why should everyone be infamous famous, you know? Because you rob a bank or you shoot somebody, you know? Why should that be the only thing that we see on TV and people getting famous for? Why not start pushing this stuff and help these people get famous? So I think it's great, and I shared the real life Spider-Man in the chat, and I hope that wow, what's that? Is that, oh, is that you on your keyboard?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right. So now I'm going to close that, but I just want to share it because two good, wonderful, wonderful things that it's just nice to get some good stuff once in a while. But here, I'm going to share the next thing I've got. Hold on. Get up here.
You know, these two stories is why I keep telling people, let's go out there and be the positive change we want to see in the world.
Mm-hmm. And we have to
Because
share that.
the only way we're going to make the world a better place
Mm-hmm.
is by going out there and doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And you heard what these two gentlemen said. They didn't think about it. They just did it because it was the right thing to do. And that gives me hope because they're both young.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And thus I have hope.
I have hope
Because
too.
the upcoming generation is a heck of a lot more conservative than those that came before it at this point in their development. The whole point of the deal has been the fact if we see something, we're supposed to do something. Even if you're not qualified to do it, you do it until somebody more qualified than you shows up and takes your place to do it.
Pull your
God
phone
works.
out.
God
Pull your
uses
phone out.
us to do these things.
And make a phone call the police. If you can't put your hands on the person and help them, call the cops. Don't stand there and make a video of it and do a live stream of somebody suffering or someone getting beat up and stuff like that. You be the good one. You be the one that break that cycle, and that's how we win. And if you don't share the criminal doing something and make him famous, share this kind of stuff. Share the good stuff.
Remember, you have no control over what anyone else says, thinks, or does. You only have control over yourself. You only have control over what you say, what you think, and what you do. Thus, you having control over yourself. Keep that in mind. Especially when you get angry and you want, like, road rage, when you're really getting angry. I had to have this conversation with my little sister when she was driving me to my doctor's appointment. You know, I'm like, remember, you only have control over yourself, not what these other idiots are doing. Because she said she got so mad she wanted to chase the idiot that just dang near caused us to wreck by swerving in front of us. And I said, don't demean yourself. Besides, I still want to get to my doctor's appointment today, you know. But well,
yeah. But
you know that first guy?
Yeah.
They someone went to him to interview him, and they went through their spiel and, like, yo, yeah, I'm a hero, whatever. You know what that guy said? He said, hey, I love my job and I pull people out of riptides every day. That's what he did. I mean, that's, when the normal guy is a hero, you're winning.
Yep.
Right? That says so much for the people that from Jacksonville Beach all the way around to the other side at Cape St. Blas. I'm telling you right now, man, those guys risk their life every day, just like you stated a while ago. And most of those people, when you ask them about their heroic moments of pulling people out of burning cars and all that, they just say, I love my job. I love my job. You should. If you love your job, you never work a day in your life.
Do you remember when that plane was skidded off the runway and went into the Potomac, and it broke the ice, and all those people were, freezing to death and then sinking under? And they had scuba divers and all that stuff out there, and there was a woman, and her eyes, she couldn't even close her eyes because her eyes were frozen open, basically. And the one guy was throwing this little round thing with a rope on it to her, and she was like trying to get it, but she was frozen. She couldn't really do anything. And there was a guy just standing there, and he just started taking off his shoes and stuff, and he jumped in and helped her. And when all those people were just standing there in wetsuits and stuff, then none of them were doing anything. And I remember Mom yelling, help the woman, help her, and I just remember, I don't remember how old I was when I saw that, but it was so traumatic for me just to watch no one doing anything. And my mom said, well, the unions won't let you do stuff until the right person's there that says it's okay for you to do it. And I said, well, people are dying. And she said, well, there's no heroes. And then that guy takes off his shoes and stuff and his jacket, and you see him just dive in, and Mom goes, there's a hero. And he went out there and he saved that woman. He brought her to shore. And he couldn't save the other people because he was just wearing his regular clothes. He wasn't in a wetsuit like these other people, but he showed up the cops and everyone else that were there, all these safety people just standing around. He made all of them look like dumbasses. And I remember people clapping and applauding and cheering for this guy for helping this one woman. And I guarantee you that she still remembers what this guy did for her. And it's just sad that we're to a point now, like the young man that was from Doge that got the crap beat out of him when he saved that young woman from the carjackers, in Washington, D.C. And he was all up. Okay, but there's still people out there. There's still young people that are trying to fight for this country. And if we just say, oh, well, voting isn't going to get us out of this. Oh, well, who gives a shit? Can't do nothing. And just sit around and do nothing besides eat Cheetos and whack off while you're watching TV. I mean, yeah, that's really going to help. I'm just saying.
Hey, now, Cheetos is awesome.
Just use it as an example, but you know what I mean. The thing is good stuff is happening, and good things are happening in other areas, not just with people saving people, but like this kind of stuff. Let's share this.
What you said earlier, it's kind of off the wall, but a criminal will call a cop when they're in trouble and they'll love them to death. And an agnostic or atheist, when they're getting pulled over drunk, will say, oh God, right?
Yep.
When it's a situation, it's all relative. You don't believe in God till you need him, right? You don't need a hero until you need him. And then people go, oh God, and God sends one of his heroes to take care of it. We're all God's angels, and I think that's beautiful. Always answer every phone call. It might be God on the other end, and be somebody's angel today. Those are some of the best rules for life. And there's a shift going on. When I was with the GBI agent on the golf course today, a 16-year-old kid was playing with us. And this is a good generation coming up. They are a solid and good generation. It's all the Gen X radicals, more later 20s and early 30s, lower 40s. And they're the ones that are doing these riots and all that. The really young kids, they've seen enough. You know, they're like, oh my God, I'm not going to be like that. And it's beautiful to watch. That's my grandchildren's generation coming up, and they're very good, astute students and all that stuff. It's
Well,
nice to see.
we got to remember the reason you have young men, like we just saw both those gentlemen, young men helping someone, a total stranger, was because they had good parents. Okay. So that shows that their parents, okay, the kids' parents also did a good job to raise their kids to feel the same way and pass it down to the next generation. So some people are doing it right. Okay. I think it's very few people, honestly, maybe 20%, if that, that causes all the problems. But everyone only sees that because that's all people share is the crap, the crap, the crap, the crap. So you get bombarded with crap instead of sharing the good stuff. And who do you blame the most for sharing all the crap? Well, I blame the news because of the Smith-Mundt Act. I say it a lot, and until we can get that fixed back like it was before Obama had it changed, I think that we can start holding the press accountable for what the crap they say. I mean, every single time you see Trump has a press meeting or whatever, and his little press people go out there, look at the shit they got to deal with. And I love Trump, and he says fake news, you suck, you're fake, you know all that. I just love it because he's basically telling the truth. He's saying what all of us have been saying for a very long time. But this is the good stuff. This is the stuff that this administration is doing, and they try to go up before the press and they're being as transparent as they can be, and I'm seeing more and more things happening. It's just that nobody shares any of this stuff. This is the stuff that, look at the bottom down here. It's got like 3,200 likes, okay? And it's been out since, let's see, early 6:52 a.m. It's pretty lame if you think about it. But I guarantee if you show somebody getting shot or stabbed or whatever, it's going to have 1 million views. I mean,
That's the algorithm, Janet.
I know, but I'm just saying we can change that by sharing this stuff. Okay. And that's what I do. That's why I try to share, like our show last night wasn't just shit. We were showing the people doing the work and what they were bringing out. And that's good stuff. That's factual stuff that we want people to see and share with other people so more people know the truth about
something. I sent a message up the chain of command with PIAB today, and you know what I said? Stop making the news that won't pass the SAVE Act. We knew back then what we know now, and nothing has changed. And we need to go back to a too big to rig campaign and make sure that we have 81 million voters out there at the midterms. And they need to replace. This is a political game, hit job by people that Trump, he backed other candidates. These guys been around 50 years and 30 years and all that, and they are angry. They're losing their power. We got to go too big to rig. We all need to start saying it again. Take our grandparents to vote, make sure everybody around us in our life votes and pull another 81 million vote election because they can't beat too big to rig. They can't.
I think we can do it. I think we can do it. So
yeah, I mean that's the snub to the senators. Hey, you don't run this country. The people do. Watch this. All right. Hold my beer.
Yeah, I saw that. But I want to share this. It says the Trump DOJ just hit the absolute motherload of fraud. Nearly 400 million stolen taxpayer money just got blown wide open across 7 states. We were talking about this earlier, but I want to play the video for you. So here we go.
Today we are announcing federal and state charges, all of which were charged or unsealed at some point over the past 2 weeks, the past 14 days, coordinated nationwide action. Since June 8th, we've charged 455 defendants across 56, like I said a minute ago, U.S. Attorney's offices, and 45 U.S. states and territories. As alleged in the various indictments, These individuals participated in healthcare fraud schemes involving over $6.5 billion in false claims submitted to Medicare, Medicaid, and other healthcare programs. The team around me will get into more specifics, but here are a few points that stand out. In one indictment, we're bringing charges against a corporate executive in Arizona in connection to over a $1 billion fraud involving unnecessary wound grafts. Today, we are announcing federal and state charges, all of which were charged or unsealed at some point over the past 2 weeks, the past 14 days, coordinated nationwide.
Okay, I already played it, so I'll stop it now. But basically, this is what we put these people in to do. Okay, is to clean up the swamp. Isn't that what we all said we wanted? So we're getting it. It's just not fast enough. People want it like this. When you have courts, you have to follow the rules. And that's what we're getting. We're getting it. It's just that we got to be patient and let them do their jobs. They are doing the work. And
you know, Janet, everybody's talking about this like it's new, right? In 2003, I got a contract with the state to evaluate the computer systems at what's called CMHC, the Community Mental Health Center here at Augusta. And I got hired out of the DA's office of the county. So I go over there and they're like, hey, you got a new employee kind of thing, and they didn't know what to think. Well, they had two separate computer systems there, and they're like, okay, these don't talk to each other. I'm like, look, I can make them talk to each other. I just need to hook these wires up. And the bureaucrats are like, if you hook those wires up, it's over. So I went and told that to the people I was working for, and they said, oh, God, well, what are we going to do? I said, I'll tell you what we're going to do. I said, let me go over there and set up my own network router and then just hook both of those computers up to the router, and then I can do it all from home. So that's what I did, and I sat there, and that was right when APIs came out, and APIs basically led to LLM, large language models, that could go across to any computer language, on any network service, on any operating system, whatever, and it could make them talk to each other. And they were a cross-platform interface, and that led to the large language models. So what I did is I wrote an API, and I told it to go get every individual transaction that occurred that Medicaid was paying, and both systems had the same payments, and they were getting paid for both of them. Now, the people that went to jail over that, one guy, the guy that was over security, and he was really my boss, quote, end quote, had a heart attack when we put the warrants down on his desk, and literally died right where he got the warrant. Robin Harrison, who was a representative in the state of Georgia, had to do time for that. And there were some other like figurehead people in there that knew about the dual system and were sharing the money. So that's 2003. I think they got away with $2.3 million. But I promise you that was just happened to be that someone blew the whistle and they stuck me in there to fix it. Think about all the ones that have been going on for now 23 years where nobody ever said anything. So, God dang it.
Or they no one knew about it, or it was the fact that everyone that did know were involved somehow, so they didn't want to rat on each other, so that's one reason why I really believe they didn't want Trump in. They knew that Trump was not a regular insider and that they couldn't control him, so they did everything in their power the first time to try to keep him out. But the second time around, they said, this is definitely not, no matter what happens, we're going to put masks in, we're going to do all this mail-in voting or whatever, we're going to do whatever it takes. Even though it took weeks and weeks, it wasn't voting day anymore. It was weeks, months, or whatever it took to count as many votes as we need to win and to get rid of Trump. And then assassination attempts, lawfare, whatever, they've tried everything. Impeachment, they have done everything to get rid of him. And the more they do, just like what I told you about me, the more death threats I get, and people saying they hate me. That Happy Mother's Day, Janet. It's a shame I can't hear a word you say because you got Trump's dick in your mouth. I get all these horrible comments. Yeah, somebody posted that and said that to me.
Oh
But
my God.
they said lots of terrible stuff to me, and the reason they say it is because I'm getting on their nerves. Because I'm doing the right thing. I'm saying the right thing. I'm sharing the right stuff. Apparently, because I'm pissing off the right people. So, I'm gonna keep doing it as long as I'm allowed to do it. And everything I'm sharing is public information already. I don't care if they like me or not. I'm never going to meet these people. And if it makes them feel more manly or whatever to shout down a woman or degrade people and stuff like that, then hopefully I feel sorry for them because they must be really lonely keyboard warriors. That's all I can say. But this next thing I want to share is another thing that I think is important because it also shows that there's still people in office that are doing what they said they were going to do when they went there, and they're still doing it. They're still fighting for us. So there's still people there that actually care. He makes little videos like this all the time with his cows, walking down the street while his wife's following him in the car. He just does this because he wants people to see this is what's going on. It's very frustrating for him, and he shares lots of these videos. But here we go. I want to share this is Tim Burchant, and I want to share this another video of him because I really do like this guy. He's not in my state, but I'm going to share it anyways. So I'm going to make this bigger and turn it up. So here we go.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchant. I propose legislation, here's the bill, to eliminate federal funding and federal agencies purchasing those block cameras. I find it pretty disgusting. It's pretty draconian, and you can look that up and know what that means. It's called the Protection Against Mass Surveillance Act. Prohibits federal agencies from purchasing, deploying, or contract with automated surveillance systems. These things violate our constitutional rights. I've always been for protecting constitutional freedoms. I think it's one of the most important responsibilities. One of the most important things we do as Congressmen, do anything at all. They just tend to keep giving away your rights. We should America can never choose between safety and liberty. We've got to keep our country safe. But we keep sacrificing the freedoms that, of course, that's defined. It violates the Fourth Amendment. I've consistently opposed these warrantless surveillances and policies that weaken our privacy rights like crazy. We've already seen incidents where cops have used these things to pursue ladies for dating purposes or stalking or whatever. It's happened a couple of times. But it's the reality of where we are as a country. And these things are brought in. These are just revenue generators. And then they use them for other things. Trust but verify, that's what Reagan said. These law enforcement intelligence agents, they got to have tools to address these threats, but taking our constitutional rights is not on the table. This legislation, of course, it'll hopefully restore the constitutional balance between national security and individual liberty. Luna's on it with me. I've been speaking to Mayor Jacobs about this, working in coordination with him on this thing. So hopefully we'll get some movement out of this. Call your legislators, tell them we need it. We got to ban these goddamn things. Tell them to support the Protection Against Mass Surveillance Act. Of course, thank y'all for sending it here. Let's get them.
Yeah, he always has really, really good little videos, but it shows you that he means what he's doing. He's willing to put his face on it and say it. Now he's not a senator. I wish he was. He would. I wish there was a way that we could take people that we know like this that are representatives, and then after he's done being a representative, say, okay, we're going to push him in, and we want him to be a senator because it's the Senate that we're having so much trouble with. It's like there's a huge amount of bloat and big giant heads over in the Senate. To me, from what I'm seeing, by their actions. I mean, the Tim Burchett and his people, the representatives, already sent the SAVE Act back in February. They all voted on it and passed it. And how many more of them are there? A lot, right? And then you got 2 senators for each state, and we can't get them to do shit. It's pathetic. You know, what do you guys think about this? About flock cameras? You think he's right with what he's trying to do?
So, you know, when that started, it started in the casinos. So the casinos built facial recognition software that could read 10,000 faces at a time. I've watched these screens before. It's really bizarre. A little square gets on their face, and then it just kind of disregards anything. But if someone has a warrant, then it flags it and pulls it out. So Homeland Security comes in, and that's private, right? So, I mean, they own the building, all that is private, no citizens' rights, no none of that. You went in, right? So Homeland Security gets invented after 9/11. They join up with FBI, and FBI put those all over New York. Like, there's other things they did. They have these things, you know, when the drone thing was going on up there in New York and people were going, oh, they're spraying this and that and the other. I went to the radiation monitors they have on top of all the buildings in different areas, and I printed all the radiation reports and put them on X. I'm like, no, they're not spraying anything, you fucking moron. That's us working on stuff, right? So it goes back that far, right? And then they started putting them on the traffic lights, so that if you got your picture of your car taken and it wasn't completely out of the intersection, they'll mail you a ticket. And then I was in Atlanta and working in networking, and I used to take care of the traffic center over there. And I went over there and saw these cameras. I'm like, man, that is bizarre. You know, and I would sit in there and talk to them and everything. But one day I looked at them. I said, you know what I hate? It was doing that slinky thing. I said, you know what I hate? I said, I hate when that slinky thing happens. I'm like, you know how many cars, it's all math, and all you got to do is just get something that can count the cars and then put signs up and say average speed, you know, distance to so-and-so. And that slinky and stuff quit because they would lower it. The more cars that went out, the lower. In Atlanta traffic, I'm telling you, Atlanta traffic is a nightmare. But they also use those on high-speed chases. They won't do a high-speed chase in Atlanta. They won't. If you're out there in those cameras, whatever you do, don't pull off the interstate. And they'll drive around 285 till they're out of gas, you know. So there's benefits to all that will protect us. But what you heard Tim Burchett say, we got dirty cops chasing women. You know, we got scams going on and all this other stuff. So growing pains are growing pains. And I'm not a Big Brother guy. But if I'm walking down the street in New York City and there's a fucking terrorist behind me and they know him because they got his face in the FBI file, you know what? I want them to find out before he comes running up behind me, screams Allahu Akbar, and sticks a damn dagger down through my clavicle. You know, you're not going to survive that. And that's a tactic that they're trained in, of how to run up behind you and stab you with a lethal blow that doesn't take, you don't even know you're hit. You don't feel it. It happens fast. And you're thinking, oh shit, and you're figuring out what it is. And by the time you figure it out, you've bled out. I've seen videos of them training those bastards in those stupid camps over there in Afghanistan.
Did you see that movie that came out about the guy that was getting revenge or whatever for different things that were happening? It was, I think it was in Germany or somewhere.
You mean
that was Citizen
Vigilante?
Yeah, Citizen Vigilante. It was a really good movie.
Yeah,
and,
it was filmed in Croatia.
Croatia. But it was based on a true story about some young girl that was attacked by 8 immigrants and raped, gang raped. And I thought it was very informative. I told everybody to watch it, so I thought it was really good. But basically, to me, we have enough cameras. You know, if there's a camera on a 4-way stop on a road. Okay. Well, it's there because you have cars stopping and going. And if somebody hits somebody, it's going to be on camera. So that if you say, hey, I need that footage to prove that I didn't do anything. This person ran the red light and hit me or whatever, right? So I can see that. But to have a camera that you install outside of town that's just on a main road, just a road, what's going on, I don't know. I don't think I would want just cameras everywhere showing everybody's property or coming and going and stuff like that. I just think that's too much. Now, if you have a car and you want to put a camera in the mirror so that you can see what's going on in front of you and all that kind of stuff, like the cop cars have that. If you want to do that and it's going to give you a cheaper insurance on your vehicle or, whatever. I mean, I have a truck that if I take my hand off the wheel to, adjust my mirror, whatever, it says, keep your hands on the wheel, that kind of stuff. But that was one of the things that came with the vehicle that I ended up buying. But what I'm saying is, I think it should be our decision what we want in our vehicle or in our driveway. If you want a Ring doorbell, fine. If you don't have to have one. You see, because it's your property.
I mean, think about this, Janet. Like when we were younger, so 80s, 90s, if you saw somebody with a camera, it was a group of them and they were all Japanese and they were on vacation, right?
Yeah,
now,
usually.
we carry cameras. We got cameras in our watches. A Tesla doesn't just have a dash cam. It is fully surrounded with cameras that operate on the highest level technology there is. All of these door cams are on. They've got traffic cams, weather cams. And if you have a problem with cams, you got to be one paranoid son of a bitch, because you're not walking anywhere in today's world that you're not on somebody's camera somewhere. And the biggest, dumbest one of all is you'll be on your phone doing like this, and 911 services can access your phone, lock your phone number, look at your camera, and do all kind of shit that you don't even have a clue that they're out here doing.
Video that I shared on my channel of me, I'm out in the middle of nowhere, so I'm driving by the lake, and I see some lights in the sky, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And then it goes away, and then it comes right back, and it's two lights, and they're like talking to each other, or whatever it was. I didn't know what it was, but I'd never seen anything like that. And it was late at night, and I could see really well because I'm not by a big city where there's lots of lights that you can't see the sky. So by the time I got to my driveway, because it took a while, and I just kept looking up in the sky trying to see it. When I got to the end of my driveway, I jumped out of my truck and I pulled out my phone and I started videoing it. Okay, so because there isn't street lights, there's nothing. I live out in the boonies. So if somebody came and put a flock camera up out there just so they could see who's coming and going on the road, I don't think I'd like that.
Man, let me tell you something bizarre.
On my road should be able to say yes or no whether we want that on our road or not.
Dawn called me one time on the phone, and she's sending me these pictures, and she's got cameras on her house. And then she's got a Model Y Tesla that also has security around it.
Yeah.
So the Tesla picked up someone pulling up next to her car on a motorcycle and getting off in like infrared heat signal. So she ran over to her security system and went to play it back, and there was nothing in the camera. No person, no anything. That on one of my next trips out to Texas for work, I went by there and watched that, and it was the most bizarre thing ever. So that Tesla system picked up something, and so help me God, it showed it as a motorcycle. It showed a man pull up and get off of it, and there was not one single thing on the actual real camera. It was bizarre. So yeah, cameras are everywhere.
A lot of people don't know this, that your cell phone can be turned on remotely without you knowing it. The microphone, the camera, all of it. It's one of the reasons why a lot of the cartels, if you've got a cell phone, they have and you're going to do something, they literally take the battery out of the cell phone and the SIM card out of the cell phone.
Mhm.
So it can't be turned on to be used. And I've got friends of mine that are still in the intelligence community who do the exact same damn thing for the exact same reasons.
Yep.
And it's just like if you'll watch interviews with these big tech moguls, they cover these things right here up. You'll see them being talked to, and they've got a little camera. There's a sticky note put over it unless they're using it at that time. Like right now, I have that I keep over my camera.
All you need is a Faraday bag.
Yeah.
Faraday bag takes care of it.
There was a case that I aired with permission on my channel. It was about the young girl that was taken by the guy on the FedEx truck. Okay. And it was the sentencing phase because he pled guilty because they had so much evidence, right, against him. But the one thing, just like I said, I agree that if you own a fleet of trucks and you want cameras inside so you can watch the driver and watch the merchandise that he's driving around, and a camera from the front so he can see where he's going and stuff, you have every right to do that. And your employee knows that they're being filmed, that's fine. I have no problem with that either. Just like I said, if you want a camera in your vehicle, you should have the right to have that. And if you're driving down the road, you should be able to film where you're going and what's behind you or whatever. It's your vehicle. And if someone else hits you, then you have that as evidence to show that you're the one that was doing nothing and someone just it took you off the road. I think it would help in court. I think more and more cases would be won or lost because they have evidence to show who did what. You know, just like a cop. I think all police officers have to wear a camera on their vest so that we can see what's happening. I think that, you know, that's fair. And we're paying their salary as a police officer. Now, when he takes that off and he goes home, it's nobody's business what he does. You know, it's
so my thing is the fact that, all right, y'all know my son is in the UK. Okay. And so I've kept abreast of what's been going on in the UK. And the fact that it's the only that closed circuit TV cameras have always been a big thing in the UK for several decades. Even small little hamlets, you'd look around and there's a camera mounted up on the light poles and things of this nature all over the place. And it's one of the most surveilled countries on earth, which is ironic for a free country, you know? And that's the type of thing you would expect in, say, Iran, North Korea, you know, places like that. Every time you turn around, there's a camera pointed at you. That's my only problem with these cameras everywhere that the government's putting up. If it's civilians putting up cameras for their own personal security and safety, okay. But I also feel that if a township decides they want to do it and it's actually voted on and approved by the population, let them do it. I just don't like the idea of somebody coming in and just putting up cameras. That's my problem with it.
Without the people being able to know why they're doing it and who owns them, why are they up there, why are they filming?
Because in all honesty, the job of the federal government or the local government is to work for us. Okay? We the people, we're the ones in charge. The government is supposed to be there ensuring our protection, our safety, and making sure we're happy with what they're doing. You know? And
so we had a veteran that we dealt with in 2009 here in Augusta. So he's like having trouble. He's beating his girlfriend and all this stuff. She goes to a safe house. This guy goes over with he took a bunch of M80 fireworks and broke them down and packed them into like a cardboard round thing, whatever. They might have sent a calendar in it or something. He packs it full of there. He goes by this safe house and he's like a cop now, right? He throws this bomb. It blows up, man. There were young children and shit standing outside, right? It was in like a black neighborhood and all them ran and all that stuff. I went out the door. I'm like, what the hell's going on, right? So I knew about security cameras that were over here by this place. So I go over to this. It was an accountant's office. And we subpoenaed and took the video, but we couldn't use it unless the man who owned the business signed a release, and someone called him and said, if you sign that release, it'll be the last thing you do. So there's when it comes to the private cameras and going to court, and I mean, they can identify people and they can do all this, but if they don't sign a release, you can't use those videos. So there's all of that is just gray area. We've been in a Big Brother place for a long time. Mm-hmm. Really, when the computer industry came around, even back in the punch card days, remember in like elementary school, and they would give your punch card to you and all that.
Go further back than that. You can go further back than that to IBM in the 1930s Germany.
That's right. That's right. So when they've got that and they put it in, you know, that shit had in there like the notes your teacher wrote your parents on your report card, every disciplinary action you had in school. And I mean, when you open one of those files at like for work, man, some of them are so big you have to use AI to find what you're looking for, you know? So yeah, all this has been going on a long time, and it's Big Brother stuff. And just like socialism got started by FDR, right? The first time someone came to Congress and said, oh, this lady's house burned down above and she's a widow and we need to pay for everything. And Davy Crockett got up in front of the Congress and gave this big speech. He said, it's not our money to give. He said, I'll throw $20 in and the rest of you guys throw some money in and we'll help this one lady. But I'm telling you, it's going to open up a can of worms.
Well,
remember, back in the Founding Father days, there was a major fire that burned out a huge tract that was near the Capitol. A whole bunch of people were put out of homes because of the fires. Mm-hmm. And they went before Congress and was asking Congress to give the money to build homes for these people who had gotten burned out. And the Founding Fathers got into a big, drawn-out debate over it. And it finally came down to the fact that if you want to do charity with your money, talking to the Congress member, they should do it. Mm-hmm. But they had no right to use the people's money for charity. Mm-hmm. And that was right after the founding. Within the first 20 years, that happened. Mm-hmm. And all these idiots that like to say, oh, the Founding Fathers would love what we've done to the place. The Founding Fathers wanted to keep the federal government itty bitty,
small. Yes,
you know.
government.
The more
I think that was Davy Crockett, because Davy Crockett was an active Tennessee senator at the time that he went to fight at the Alamo with Stephen F. Austin. And that was 1832 and 1830. So it was about, we were really became a country in 1896 with the Confederation. You know, we declared everything. They had to write the Constitution. That didn't get written until 1789. So that's about 40 years into the country. And so I think that's the one I'm thinking about too. And it was Davy Crockett who did it.
One of the things I wanted to add is the fact who is in charge of the cameras. See, if you want it in your home and you're in charge of it. You're the one that can look at it and see what's on it, whether it's needed for someone trying to break in or whatever it is you're using it for, or whether you just want to see what wildlife are in your property. I mean, I have bears. I got lots of videos of stuff because of my ring
I've
doorbell.
seen that.
Okay.
Now,
But but the thing is, it's what's scary about it is, let's say that we're all like, yeah, we like who our president and stuff is right now. Let's have cameras everywhere because I trust them. Okay, that's great. But what if we don't like you? Who's next in line? What are they
this
going
is
to do
how
with the information?
this
How are
is
they?
one of the
How
things
are we
I
going to
used
keep
to
them
say.
from cheating and using it? You know?
Yeah, that's
I
funny.
said this back during Clinton's time in office
Mhm.
when I was in college, because there was a whole bunch of stuff that they were talking about how they loved the fact that Clinton was doing all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked them the question, how would you feel if it wasn't Bill Clinton doing it, but somebody with a little R after their name? Would you be all for it?
Mm-mm.
Okay. It's like the stuff that Obama was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting there going, I don't care if Obama had an R after his name. The shit he was doing while in office, I'd have been against it. You know, there's stuff that Trump does that I'm not for.
Mm-hmm.
There was stuff George W. Bush did that I wasn't for. And
Yeah,
it
at the
drives me
founding,
nuts.
they called them federal constitutional federalist was the name of the party, and in my gut of guts, that's what I am, and I think the mentality of that in today's world is the libertarian.
Exactly.
But
See,
that's the
okay, hold on.
thing.
Hold on.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. You remember how Hillary came out and was talking about how she was a turn of the century progressive? Now, the Democrats and some of the Republicans really embraced the whole progressive mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that after Woodrow Wilson in World War I, and seeing how Woodrow Wilson got himself elected by saying, I'm going to do this stuff, and then he turned around and got us into a war he promised he'd never get us involved in,
Mm-hmm.
and a whole bunch of other really dictatorial
League of
shit.
Nations,
Yes,
League of Nations.
he
Yeah,
did a lot of dictatorial type shit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not even go into the fact that after he had his stroke, his wife was running the federal government as a dictator and was just having him do this number.
that's true. That's
Okay.
true.
Now, it caused enough people in the United States to, when they heard progressive, to do that. They couldn't handle it. It's like they ran away from the term progressive. So what the Democrats and the progressive did was they stole the term liberal from the predominant political ideology that the United States was founded upon, which was constitutional federalism, what is today known as libertarianism. And guess who it was that stole the term liberal to use it instead of progressive? For those of you who don't know, I'm going to give you a hint. Hopefully you'll be able to see the ink. It's kind of going. Can you see the ink? No,
Yes,
hold
and
on.
hope or something. I think that's what it looks like.
Wait a minute. This is cheesing me off. And Tim got it right. FDR.
Mhm.
FDR.
And he was actually the first socialist.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's the
Yep.
one who started social. I mean,
All the
we
social-
do
all
we
the
have a
social planning.
social welfare system, you know, but for many years, I mean, Jesus, look what they did to our damn retirement funds.
Well, the thing is, everything that FDR did was stuff that he learned from Woodrow Wilson, because FDR was Woodrow Wilson's protege. Everything FDR did was stuff that Wilson wanted to do before he had his stroke and his wife pretty much took over.
Do you know that in our $39 trillion debt that they do not include the IOUs from Congress to Social Security?
Exactly.
IOUs to our Social Security that we paid in. That
a lot of
it's
people,
like, what the fuck, man?
A lot of people don't know about the whole Social Security lockbox. That money's been gone since LBJ. LBJ saw that money and saw that as a way of buying votes of the black people and the whole Great Society. He took the trust fund that had all that money put into it. And that's what happened to our Social Security money. The Social Security trust fund is empty. That's what a lot of people don't know.
You know what my question is? Let me tell you what my question is. How many people paid Social Security in and had heart attacks at 55, 58, 62, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you need Social Security for a 30-year-old, you have extra money. That's where they first started taking it. Oh, yeah, that's where they first started taking it.
What people don't get, after LBJ took that money that was actually set aside for Social Security, that money was sitting there untouched.
Right.
Thus, the money you paid in was sitting there waiting for you to come out. But LBJ and his Great Society took all that money out and has turned Social Security into a Ponzi scheme. Social Security has since become a Ponzi scheme. The people paying in right now are the ones paying for the people paying in now are the ones paying for the people drawing Social Security right now. For example, if you've got a job, the Social Security money they're taking out of your paycheck is going to people like me on Social Security. It's not the money I've already paid in. The money I paid in went to somebody else that was already on Social Security.
Yeah, I believe that.
That's the situation Social Security is in right now. That's why it's not, everybody keeps talking about the fact that Social Security isn't solvent. But then you have the people saying, hey, I paid in all this money, not understanding the fact that the Democrats under LBJ took the money that was in the bank that had been banked and saved in the so-called lockbox that Hillary Clinton and Al Gore talked about. That money's been gone.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi got all up in Social Security. There's records of it.
And it's one of the things that really upsets me. This was something that I used to have conversations back in the 2000s with my grandparents and my father, talking about what happened to the Social Security Trust Fund, and the fact that every time somebody tried to go in and fix this and reinstate the trust fund concept and pay it all back and put all that IOU money back in, they got run off. Because one of the locals that got elected to the House of Representatives from my district went up there to try to do that, because that was one of the things that she promised that she was going to work for, was to have those IOUs paid back off to put that money back into the lockbox, that trust account. So the money would be there when people needed it, because they said that because there's not enough young people to be taxed, that it's becoming lopsided. That after a certain point, that there's not enough people paying in to cover the people that they need to pay.
Mhm.
It's part of the birth rate collapse.
Exactly. And that's where we're at right now. We're at that tipping point that if something's not done, you're going to have a whole lot of people that are going to be left holding a bag saying, hey, my Social Security, I paid into it all my life. Where's my Social Security money?
Mhm.
And they're going to be opening the door and saying, it's not here. And the people who are going to have to pay the price aren't the ones that spent the money. They're the ones who showed up to be able to pass out the money that you paid in and go, holy shit, the money's not here. And guess who's going to be the one that gets strung up by the upset elderly people looking for their Social Security money?
Yeah, you know, I had talks with my grandfather a lot, and since this is Motherload of fraud, right? And that it's the same shit that's been going on since the 1900, as you brought up. So my grandfather's father was the train engineer for the Harlem Anderson run. And that's the train that Laurel and Hardy used to get up to vaudeville. His train is in our museum downtown, and his likeness is being the engineer, right? So one time, me and my grandfather were out, it's just him and my mom and dad and me. And I started talking about why, I'm like, why does this, you know, Europe, I just had come home from some military assignment in Europe, and we were talking about the trains, and I was just making, you know, talking about his grandfather and all that, and we got into the train thing. Okay, so in 1922, they made a fund to make the exact same train system here that we have over in Europe now. They go 200 miles an hour. It's like you're there. In China, they got them going 600 miles an hour now. All that money was set aside in 2022. And he was a Democrat from hell. He would have voted for Mom Tommy because he was such a Democrat. He was too stupid to ever learn, right? But look at what they just did in Southern California with the high-speed rail. They gave them 20 million with a contract, and they're up into billions now. They hadn't finished a bridge, right? Same exact thing, 100 years later. Yeah, the fraud is part of the system. It's part of the system.
Well, the reason I brought that up in the first place is because depending on who's in charge, okay, it depends on who gets any benefits or gets any rights. Because if they don't like your point of view, right, they'll say, well, that person doesn't think properly, so we're not going to waste our time making sure they're taken care of. Then we'll move on to the people that care, just like we saw after the hurricanes when the people from FEMA were told if they have a Trump sign in their yard, don't help them, go on to the next one. Remember that?
It's crazy shit. Yeah,
I know, but that's why this right here, when I saw this, it really chapped my ass. And to me, the only way to stop these people from this kind of stuff, of what happened to this gentleman, is by us, the rest of us, saying, well, if they're going to treat this guy this way, then I'm not going to buy their products, you know, just like we did with Bud Light. Okay. And it worked. Bud Light went, man, we fucked up. And they started righting the ship because they realized, man, we pissed the wrong people off, which is the customers. And the customers can take their wallet and go elsewhere. And once we do that and we start realizing how much power we really have, the American people, and we start banding together and saying, this is bullshit. The only way this is going to stop is when we stop paying them to treat us this way. Because if you keep going to the same restaurant and getting shitty service and crappy food, but you keep going every week and letting them treat you like shit, well, you're getting what you pay for. You are going there and asking them to give you shit because you keep going back for more shit.
Think about how shitty they are, Janet.
Yeah.
that they get on mainstream media, legacy media. The Republican parties say the Democrats will do anything to get in power. The Democrats say the Republicans will do anything to get in power. And I raise my hand and say, what power? The power to serve people? You gave an oath and said you would be servants to every person in America, right? So what power are they talking about? They're talking about the power of the purse string.
That's right.
And that's something that should not be in anyone's brain. That is okay. You're stealing our money. There are 328 million of us and 525 of you. And if we show up down there for accountability that you don't give each other, it's going to be a short fight. You know, I don't give a shit what party you're in. They're stealing from all of us. And then they got us all fighting each other over this bullshit
That's what I'm saying.
brainwashing job. And
Stop
people
fighting
are too
with each other.
stupid to unify.
Yeah, stop fighting with each other. Share this kind of stuff and
Damn
say
right.
we're going to support this guy and we're not going to shop at the Tractor Supply place anymore when they treat people this way. Okay,
Damn
hardworking Americans. So I wanted to share this because this came across my timeline and I thought it was pretty interesting that this is happened, and it's in North Carolina. And I want you to hear from his own words. This gentleman that owns a hot dog stand, basically. Here we go.
I just, as you guys know, I've started a hot dog business, hot dog cart called All American Hot Dogs and Catering. Well, we set up today at the Tractor Supply in Spring Lake, and I was just notified by management out there that we are barred from all Tractor Supplies. That it came down from the regional manager. Her name is Stephanie Carasso. And basically it came down and they told us that we're no longer allowed on any Tractor Supply properties to sell our hot dogs because we are Trump supporters. And that apparently on my Facebook page, I supported Donald Trump. Now everybody knows me, and I could care less who you voted for. I don't care about your political beliefs. I really don't post a lot of political stuff on my page, and I definitely don't post anything on the All-American Hot Dogs and Catering. So I really find that it's unfair that I'm not allowed to sell my hot dogs at all on any Tractor Supply premises. It's kind of disappointing because we have a lot of customers and they really have enjoyed our service. We take care of the employees, we make sure that they eat for free. We make sure that the local managers eat for free. And I never thought that it would come to something like this because you support the President of the United States of America, that you're no longer allowed to sell your hot dogs or anything that you have on their property.
Well, I was just really shocked that this kind of stuff still happens. You know, it's like what they did that one time with that little kid that had that lemonade stand. You guys remember that? It was pretty years back. They threw a tantrum and said, "Oh, you can't sell those here. You know, you don't have a license," or whatever it was, some stupid ass thing. And it was kids trying to sell lemonade to make some money for something for school. Okay, and then the news found about it, and a whole bunch of people started going there because it was on the news, and they were supporting these kids. It's that stupid, this whole thing, because somebody's political affiliation, they're being basically kicked off the property. They're not allowed to sell it just because of that. And that's fine. They have the right to do that. I'm not saying they don't have the right, but I have the right to tell everybody I know that I'm not going to shop at Tractor Supply anymore. And guess what? I used to buy chicken feed and stuff like that from this place. Well, I'm not going to buy mine. I'll go to Atwood's. I'll go to the co-op. I'll go somewhere else if I have to. Because to me, the fact that they did this to this gentleman just because of who he voted for, to me, is no different than saying, well, he's black or he's Mexican. You see what I mean? Or he's Asian. I'm not letting him sell it because of that. That's how trivial it really is, if you think about it. And we've got to stand up for people in this position if we expect them to ever stand up for us if something like this happens to us. So that's why I wanted to share it, because I shared it in the chat. I'd appreciate it if you believe that this was wrong, what they did, simply because of who he voted for. I don't see the difference between that or whether he was a different race. You know, it's trivial and it shouldn't matter. But they have the right to say they don't want to have that person in their business. So I have the right not to shop there. That's all.
Can I ask you a question, Janet? And I'm basing it on my own personal life experience. I just want to hear yours.
Okay.
When I was coming up, if you even just mom, dad, and the siblings at the kitchen table, but especially at a family gathering with aunts and uncles and all this, you didn't bring politics up. And not only did you not bring it up around all of that, they would tell you, don't tell anybody ever in your life who you vote for. That is your right.
Yep.
You know, you don't have to tell anybody who you voted for, because you go in a booth and back in the old days, you went in a booth and pulled a curtain. And that was a privacy. It was a right to privacy. And now they dox people. They go out and get voting records and send them out.
He didn't have a sign on his business saying who he supported. They went to his personal Facebook page and saw that he voted for Trump, and then that's why they don't like him.
Someone doxed him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He got doxed by somebody that worked there that did it, and but the business that is running and you're selling on their property, they have a right to say they don't want you there. Just like if say you showed up and you weren't wearing any shorts, right? You're pantless, you have no pants on, and they say, well, you can't sell on my property because you're not dressed properly or whatever. They have the right to do that. I'm not saying they don't have the right. They do. But I have the right to not shop there because I feel like what they're doing is discriminating against this man because of his beliefs.
Well, I'll tell you what shocks me about it, Janet. I'm pretty sure those are franchise. So whoever this person was had enough power to go to corporate national and make that a nationwide thing. If what he's saying is accurate, I mean, that's a company really doesn't have the right to tell an owner of whatever who can come or go, whether it's a nudist or whatever else whatever else it is. They don't have that right.
So I wouldn't be able to really, I can't comment on that because I don't know. I'm just showing you what he shared and why he says they told him he could not sell on any of their properties.
Yeah, it doesn't sound right to me.
Yeah, it doesn't. But I wanted you guys to know about it because I didn't know if anybody else, any of the viewers or anything had ever seen it. But I'm telling you right now, I used to shop at least every week or two, at least, just me, at Tractor Supply, which I won't now. Simply because I know how they feel about me now, because I know who I voted for. And I know how they feel about people who vote like me. So I'm not going to shop there.
Just go all Karen on them and go in there and go, where's my fucking hot dog? What'd you do with my hot dog, dude? I come over here and eat every Tuesday.
I'm in Arkansas, so as far as I know, I don't think they would have said that, but I could ask when I go to my Tractor Supply, is it true that you don't let this company sell here? If they say yeah, I'll say, okay, see ya. Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, I'm just saying, this is how we fight back. When we see something we feel is wrong and we stand up against it, then we're showing that we're against whatever that is and that treatment is not I mean, let's think about it. If somebody wouldn't let them sell because they were Asians, okay, would that be on the news? Would that be big? You know, because they were racist and said, no, you can't have your Oriental truck here because you're Asian. We don't want you here. You know.
Do you know Ronald Reagan said in the 80s, he gave a speech, and I think it was on his way out of office, maybe. And he had all this big group gathered, and he said, do you know what politicians fear more than anything else in the world? Democracy.
Yep.
Y'all remember when he said that?
Mm-hmm.
That's why they work so hard to divide us. Because if we all unite, it's what I stated. There are 328 million of us, and there are 525 of them. And I'm telling you, there is no fight. You don't even have to bring a gun. Just everybody put your waffle stomper boots on, and we'll just run through there. You won't see anything but puddles of blood, man. A stampede is bad. You don't want to be a part of one, right? And that's what I don't get. It's like we don't even need guns to fuck y'all, man. All we need is our waffle stompers. About 500,000 to show up. You don't even have to get 0.3% of the whole population could clean that whole mess up in no time flat. Or they would have to do what Iran did and start shooting citizens that didn't have guns. Do you think they're going to do that shit? I mean, that might do it. They might do it. So I don't buy any of the shit. The reason that we're having this show is because everyone is sick and fucking tired of their fraud. We are all sick of it.
Yeah.
All of us.
Ruben, are you tired? I got
Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed.
Thing I was gonna share. I'm gonna
just share my
Substack
information. Yeah.
Yeah, I just shared your
I appreciate it. I had an emergency phone call from my brother. Got to take care of that right now.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Tell anybody about what you want about your channel.
Yeah, basically my channel's on hiatus now. Hopefully it'll be coming back in August, September timeframe. Until then, please see my Substack at Ruby Haynes. I put things out there right now. So, I'm just going to be heading down to Texas, soon, hear my brother and his family. So, send them prayers and wishes, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you joining us tonight. And
yes.
One of my regular viewers sent me this picture, and I just wanted you guys to see it.
Oh, okay. That's what it was.
His puppy is watching us on TV.
That's so cool. How sweet.
Yeah.
We're putting this puppy to sleep for him.
Well, good
night. Thank you, Tim. That was awesome, man.
Well, good night, Ruben, and I hope you just keep me updated, okay? What's going on?
I will. Let you know what's going on.
Have blessed dreams, brother.
Best thing. Take care, guys.
Bye. Bye. Okay, well, this next thing that I have that I wanted to bring up was another thing that's going on that shows that our people are doing the best they can. They are working for us to try to clean this mess up. And this is in Florida, because Florida's, at the very forefront, basically. Texas a little, but I have been a little sad about Texas. I don't think they've done as much as I normally would think that they would do compared to Florida. So DeSantis has definitely been on the ball. But here is, it says, Florida CFO just went full nuclear. He just said the quiet part out loud, the easiest way to kill sanctuary cities forever. Start charging Democrat politicians as accessories to every murder, rape, and child rape committed by the illegals they protect. Make them legally responsible because, let's be real, those crimes never would have happened without their sanctuary policies. They're complicit, period. So I want to share this little video, and this is that sheriff, that famous sheriff from Florida. I think it's Grundy or something like that.
I love his morning
Yeah,
briefing.
I do too. I just love this
I
guy.
love that guy.
But here we go.
And it was the sanctuary policy that attracted them there. The easiest way to get rid of sanctuary policies is maybe we should start charging the politicians with crimes that vote for the sanctuary policies and make them accessories to whatever crimes are committed by illegal immigrants in those jurisdictions, because to me they are absolutely complicit in the crime, because it never should have happened in the first place, but for those sanctuary policies, but for some politician voting, thinking that that's okay. And it was
I 100% agree with them. I think we should start holding people accountable. I mean, they just put a man in jail. I think it was for 15 or 20 years because he bought a rifle and gave it to his son, Colt Gray, I think that's what his name, that did that school shooting, that got life in prison. Okay. Well, they just held the father accountable for getting him the weapon to use in that crime when they knew the son was having all kinds of problems and threatening, to want to go shoot people and do other things, that the father still bought him the weapon. So they held him accountable and they found him guilty. So I don't see anything wrong with what this gentleman's saying. I think that we should hold people responsible.
I think the same thing should be done to these judges that keep letting these lunatics out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm in Waxhaw, North Carolina, which is just south of Charlotte.
Yeah.
We had the Irania girl from the Ukraine that was stabbed to death here. This insane person that did it had been arrested 40 plus times. His own mother and sister, who he had attacked, was begging and pleading with the judge to put him in jail so he could get the help he needed. And instead, she kept letting him out. And there are a lot of people in this area that have been saying that judge needs to be punished for that, because she kept letting him out to supposedly to send him to a mental health facility that she has a little what's the phrase I'm looking for, interest in. Wait, there's two of you. But we need to get to a point where when you're doing this stuff and your policies are causing this, the immunity that so many judges and police officers and law enforcement and elected officials have been given only works whenever they're being responsible and being able to be held accountable. This quantified immunity has got to go away if this keeps up. Now, I hate having to say this, but at one time we used to have this little thing called tarring and feathering of politicians, judges, police officers, and bureaucrats that did stuff like this, that the community would get together and say, oh, we ain't having no more of this. And they break out the tar and they break out the feathers, they break out a rail, and they would tar you and feather you, toss you on the rail, and dudes would be running you out of town. Okay? We need to get back to those days, because we've got too many politicians, too many judges, too many crooked cops, and way too many bureaucrats who think that they're above the law and they can do anything they want and they can get away with it.
Do you know what that sanctuary city crap was about? Okay, after the Floyd incident, they federalized any city that they thought that there was police corruption in. Mm-hmm. They got New Orleans, and I know you know about this, Janet. Y'all's murder rate went through the roof. They got Memphis murder rate through the roof. New York, Chicago, L.A., and that was basically secession, the same way that Sumter did it in the Civil War. They're like, hey man, I don't, fuck you, right? I mean, how could we sit by and allow that to happen? It befuddles me.
But what cheeses me off about this stuff, if you're not going to abide by even state law, and you've become a lawless location, that gives the people that's living there their right to say, I've had enough. If you're not going to enforce the law of the land, break out the pitchforks, break out the torches, break out the tar, break out the feathers, grab Chippy, and make sure Chippy's, you get him started up, and he goes, yum, 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 eat him up, and then go after these people. All it's going to take is one city to do it. I will bet you everything on earth, if that happens in one city, we won't have this problem for another 100 years.
You know what you just reminded me of, Richard? That Oriental guy in Manhattan that owned the bodega. And a guy comes in and he's got an 8-inch knife and he's literally stabbing the dude, and he shoots him with a gun, and he got a gun charge for having a gun, right? Mm-hmm. So they say, oh yeah, give us your guns. Don't carry a gun. You can't carry a gun. They're not, the criminals are going to have the guns. The criminals will have the guns. We don't have our guns to do bad shit with. We have our guns to stop bad shit with. So, don't take anybody's gun. It's just the Wild West and shootouts. We're literally in a phase right now. Chicago, there's 40 or 50 every week. Memphis, it's a daily thing. It's like the Wild West, and they want to take our guns. It'd be a bad day.
That's just it. It's not like the Wild West. In the Wild West, people had their gun. Okay.
What
you
city
had the chance to defend yourself.
And they came running out and stopped those people from tearing down their business. Was that in Seattle or Oregon? Do you guys remember what I'm talking about?
I think that was Seattle.
The rooftop Koreans happened in L.A.
Okay. LA. Well, wherever that was. I mean, it has happened in the past where the people just got fed up and started protecting their property from being looted and burnt or whatever, And it's going to get better.
First Sergeant Terrence Pop and Redonkulous. He's got a channel on both YouTube and on Rumble. Mm-hmm. The Redonkulous Regiment. He actually interviewed one of the rooftop Koreans on his channel. And if I remember right, Louder with Crowder, Steven Crowder, interviewed one of the rooftop Koreans as well.
I like the people that set up the paint. When they would break the thing, 5-gallon bucket of paint would spill all over them, and then they would know who to arrest.
My thing is this. Back in the days of the Old West, people think, there was just shootouts all over the place because of movies and TV shows. But that wasn't how it was. If you read the actual diaries of the people who lived back then, it was extremely polite. And crime was really low because only an idiot rode through town going, yoo-hoo! Because they knew the moment they wouldn't even get halfway down Main Street before somebody would have went, pow, and they're dead.
Yeah.
Because everybody could have a gun. Mm-hmm. And that's the point. That's why our founding fathers set it up the way they did. I mean, in the early days, I keep going back to this, to the days of the founding fathers, there were merchants who wrote letters to Jefferson and Madison when Jefferson was president. These merchants wrote him a letter asking if they had the right to arm their merchant ships because they were getting attacked by pirates.
Mhm.
And in all intents and purposes, Thomas Jefferson had to go, bitch, please. Of course you got the right to do it. Anything, any weapon that our Army or our Navy can have, a civilian can have. Because
That's what the Second Amendment says.
Mm-hmm. And remember, back then, there was no standing army. What used to be is that your community would get together, pull your resources to go buy the weapons. That's why you elected your officers back then. Because the rich people would end up basically bankrolling your local armory. They would go and they would buy the cannons, i.e. artillery. They would buy the gunpowder, the shot. And most of the time you were bringing your own rifle because your rifle was your most prized possession because you invested in that thing and you protected it. Sorry, I'm getting into my history teacher mode, and I'm sorry. But
it's all right.
They're not teaching the history in schools. My niece and my nephews, they love bringing their friends over, and they'll sit here and ask me history questions. And then I will end up going off on tangents, teaching them about these aspects of our history, be it the American Revolution, the Civil War, the American Indian War, Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, whatever they ask me about. And they'll sit there with their little artificial brain Googling everything I tell them. It's like you should have seen the look on their face when I told them that the United States has actually had an openly gay president. They were like, "Are you talking about Barack Obama?" And I'm like, "Nope.
No.
James Buchanan. Go look it up."
Yeah, his secretary slept with him.
And not only was James Buchanan responsible for the Civil War, even though when he went to Congress, to begin with, he was anti-slavery. But his older boyfriend was a Southerner who taught him white man's burden and that slavery was actually a good thing. And that's how come the situation that led up to the American Civil War came about. I can't say he was P-whipped. Well, he was he was P-whipped, just not that type of a P, if you know what I mean.
An Audi. He liked Audis more than he liked Innies. Sorry, I had to do that.
Yeah, man. I know. You girls talk about that stuff.
I know, but all of that is truthful, and this is another thing that goes along with what we were talking about whether they pick on you because of your religion, things like that. So this next thing I thought was pretty good. I thought would be good information for people because a lot of people may not have.
I'm going to show you something.
Wait a minute. I'm going to make sure can you guys see it? Because I'm on a different screen. I want to make sure. He said Jesus on live TV. Can you see it? Can you guys see it? Okay. Uh-oh. I got to bring Richard back up. Every time I bring something up, people can't hear. They lose their hearing or something. It's weird how that happens. But, okay, here we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I think so. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. Sorry about that.
That's all right. It happened to Chris too, so they're probably having problems. But I'm gonna go ahead and start this. So here we go.
I'm going to show you something shocking. What do you think would happen if you mentioned Jesus on live TV on a network that hates Christianity? Well, you're about to find out. I'm going to play you some short clips. Different networks, different people, different situations, similar reaction. But first, I want to ask you something. Have you ever noticed that it's okay to mention any other name? Muhammad, Buddha, Krishna, no problems. But as soon as you mention Jesus, people lose their minds. Now, I want to be clear, this isn't about people disliking religion. You can talk about spirituality, you can talk about being a good person, you can talk about God in a vague sense. That's okay. But as soon as you mention Jesus, the one who claimed to be the way, the truth, and the life, people react very differently. Now, this is so interesting because Jesus is the only perfect man who ever lived. But this is actually the very reason why people react the way they do. Now, as you watch these clips, I want you to keep one Bible verse in mind. It's John 3:19, and it talks about how those people who are walking in the darkness of their sin hate the light because the light exposes what is hidden. And this is the judgment. The light has come into the world, and people love the darkness rather than the light because their works were evil. For the believer, the name of Jesus is the sweetest sound. But to those who reject Christ, the name of Jesus is like nails on a chalkboard. They cannot stand it, and they react to it. And with all that in mind, watch these clips very carefully and see what happens when people are confronted with the name of Jesus. It's far more revealing than people realize. And the final one is the most shocking.
I got to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. This day means so much more than putting on this green jacket in many ways.
All right, so a technical glitch there from Augusta National.
CJ, your first playoff game in your first NFL season and a record-setting performance for you. What does this moment mean?
First and foremost, I just want to give all glory and praise to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's been amazing being in this city for as short as I've been with the love that I've got. I've really just been doing it for Houston, man.
NBC Sports reposted the interview. See if you can notice what they left out.
CJ, your first playoff game in your first NFL season and a record-setting performance for you. What does this moment mean?
I mean, it's been amazing being in this city for as short as I've been with the love that I've got.
Now, this is the real footage, and this is the footage they showed on TV.
Andre, congratulations. How did you turn this around?
Man, first off, I need the first thing my Lord Savior.
Now, before we get to the final clip, which is the most shocking, we need to remember what's really at stake here. If Jesus was merely a man, then none of this matters. But if Jesus is who he claimed to be, then everyone who hears the name of Jesus is confronted with a choice. They must decide what they do with him. And because Jesus is Lord and God, no one can remain neutral towards him. And this is exactly why the name of Jesus provokes such a strong reaction.
On a day-to-day basis, how can we, black, white, whatever, improve this?
Well, honestly, I think I point to it in the very last paragraph that I read, and I'm encouraged because things aren't the way they used to be. We all have grandparents that told us how things were. We've all seen documentaries. We are definitely making progress, but I think on an individual, on a micro level, the issue is not really skin. The issue is sin. And I firmly believe that the issue is that internally we are flawed. Internally, we need salvation from our sin. Internally, our sin makes us prideful. It makes us judgmental. It makes us prejudiced, which leads to racism. It makes us lash out at people that don't look like us. It makes us look past look past evidence to protect people that look like us. It makes us do all those things. It makes us lash out in anger. It makes us point fingers. It makes us, our sin that's in us makes us do those things. And the only salvation for this sin is the gospel. The only way to really cure that what's on the inside is understanding that Jesus Christ died for our sins. And so to me, on a micro level, it's understanding.
Just like that, we lost him.
Is understanding that Jesus Christ died for our sins. And so to me, on a micro level, it's understanding.
Just like that, we lost him.
Whether you love or hate the true Jesus of the Bible, one thing is clear. Nobody reacts to Jesus the way they react to anybody else. And over 2,000 years later, the name of Jesus is still doing exactly what Scripture said it would do. So the question isn't whether you respond to Jesus. Everyone responds to him in some way. The question is, how will you respond to him? Would love to get your thoughts. Leave your comments below. God bless you, friends.
I'm going to share the link to that in the chat. To me, it's very, very informative and truthful. All you have to do is look around our country today from things that we've been seeing with Madami being elected, how he was sworn in on the Quran. And anytime someone says anything in Israel, about Jesus or a Christianity, okay, compared to what they believe, you're just immediately turned off. And just like you saw in sports, when you see someone that used to take a knee and pray, what did they do? They made fun of them. Okay, all that, but that's okay. It's okay to make fun of someone if they're a Christian, but if you do anything else to anyone else, man, they burn you at the stake. Okay, to me, every single thing that he said is truth. Exactly why they're afraid of it. Why is Jesus, if you think about it, the only one that they take out of everything?
Do you know how the NFL
Think about
responded?
that.
Yeah, they would have church for members of both teams, whoever wanted to have it before the game. And then right after the game, those men would go to the middle of the field, kneel down in a circle, and pray. Yeah, they did it. They sure did.
Back before they started getting all this stupid shit that took it over. I mean, I can't remember.
No, they were doing it last year.
Well, I remember there was a football coach at a school that for something like 20 years would pray. Quietly. And the school board changed their policy and they attacked him for that. And it went all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said he had the right to do it.
Well, they took prayer out of school, and then the person who made the rule, what was allowed to be or not allowed to be on television, started allowing them to bring prayer mats to school, and then stopping in the middle of class and doing all this other stuff. So that was just all part of Obama's. He ran as a Christian, and on inauguration day, he said, "No, I'm a Muslim." And then Mamdani runs as a socialist, and a day after he's in office, he tells us he's a jihadist. A jihadist is not the same thing as a Muslim. Not at all.
But I just thought this was something that I haven't seen anyone else talk about. And as obvious as it is, and I know that all of us, all three of us, have seen this before, like what you saw, that the little blurred out Jesus. Why is it? And they say, oh, it's offensive to who? See, but if it says it's Muslim, or it says that something else, or has another picture, that's okay. See, That's what I don't understand. It's okay to have Bad Bunny up there at the halftime show, but you can't have the word Jesus anywhere. See, that's bullshit. And why does it happen? Because you and I have let it happen.
Let me share a little joke.
That's why.
So, and this comes from recovery, like NA and AA and all that. And you go in there and it's got, God of my understanding and all this kind of stuff. And if you bring up Jesus Christ and they're taking God out of a lot of it, even God, right? So you would go in and say, I'm a Christian. So there's this little story, this disheveled man, and he hasn't eaten in forever. And so he goes up to the church on Sunday and he's going to sit there for the church service and try to eat with them after it's over with. And a deacon comes up to him and he says, look, you cannot be in this church. You're filthy. You smell bad. Your clothes are horrible. And he walks him to the door and tells him to go. So the guy's all disheveled, he walks over and he sits down on a bench and a stranger comes up and sits down next to him. And he says, man, what's going on? What's the problem? He tells him the whole story, and the guy laughs and looks over at him and says, well, don't feel bad. I'm God, and they won't let me in there either.
That's the
Get
issue,
your mic,
man.
Janet.
I keep turning it off because I'm thinking that maybe it's me that's echoing. So
No, you got me and him logging out and coming back in because you're up there.
Well, I'm sorry.
Something's wrong with StreamYards. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about it. I can't do anything besides
when
everybody turning the mics off when you're not speaking.
When I died, I begged and pleaded to stay dead. Five times I was begging, and he kept sending me back. I've gone to various churches looking for God. Every now and again, I'll find him in a church and I'll start going to that church. But after a while, I don't feel him there no more. Because that happened to a church after the accident. Because I started going there because I felt the presence of God. The same presence that I had when I died. And I kept going to that church until I stopped feeling that presence. There's so many churches out there saying that they're preaching the gospel. But they're not. They're preaching their version of it. That's open and accepting. They're not preaching God's word anymore.
One of my great uncles owned Castleberry Foods, and my grandmother had 15 brothers and sisters, and they lived on 15th Street here in Augusta. And they were going to build the new medical college down there, so they had to move. And there was this beautiful old chapel down there they had built in the 1700s. I mean, the stained glass. Well, they took that little chapel and they moved up the hill on Walton Way and Millage Road, and they built a beautiful brand new church. It was Woodlawn, and this was done by my family who came here in 1732 with Oglethorpe's people. And that was my church. And when the United Methodist UMC sent us a lesbian minister, I said, this is no offense against you, ma'am. I think it's fine if you're a woman and a preacher, but if you're going to stand up there at that pulpit and push your lesbian behavior, nobody gives a shit what you do at home. I never went back. Well, no, I did. I had to go. My mom wanted her funeral there, and she did my mom's funeral, but I didn't have much to say to her at all. I donated them $5,000 to get a new ice machine and just left. I still haven't been back. I mean, it's so disappointing to grow up and that feeling like you're talking about, like like Bill Wilson talked about it in his book Alcoholics Anonymous, and it was the moment that he got sober, and he was in a hotel room and shit-faced drunk and all that, and he asked God, he said, if you're real, show me yourself. And he had a bright light experience, and he never drank again. And he was totally agnostic before that.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who helped him start it, Bob Wilson, he quit drinking, but he had a heart disease and had to take opiates every day. So if you look at all that, the history, and even going back into the 1800s when they were trying to ban alcohol and finally got away with it, and all these recovery things going on, I can tell you right now, inside that book, it says there is a time that only God can keep you sober. And you can be in AA and they can turn on you and do a gang attack. And there's another line in that book, and it says, for the alcoholic to drink is to die. So when you go into a place where God is supposed to be the only thing that can save you, people hate you for talking about God and then start attacking you. And the result of an alcoholic drinking late in life or late in their addiction is death. Jail, death, or institutions, right? It's like a chain. And to think that where you're supposed to love people and tell them how you got through your problem and all of that shit, man, it just blows my mind. I quit going to AA over that. That's not the AA that I grew up in, right? It became like a sex club. And we had that problem in the 70s and early 80s. It was a sex club. And I got sober at that time, right? And I kept staying there. I eventually ended up in drug courts and helped build like a farm thing. We called it Bridges of Hope, and we sent our drug court people there, and they raised all the food they ate and did all that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you, if you can't take God out of anything, and look what's happened to our country because we did it.
Wait a minute. I've got a question. Are you telling me if I want to go find somebody to get jiggy with them, I need to go to an AA meeting?
Oh, yeah. It's going on,
give me
brother.
a minute. I'm going to go look up, see if there's an AA meeting near me.
Oh, yeah. There. Go to AAmeetings.org or whatever. Put your zip code in, and it'll tell you where all of them are.
Woohoo! All right, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to go hook up my my little cart.
Well, listen, while you're there, find sobriety if you need some. I mean, AA really it changed my life. When I quit drinking, it was the best day of my life. I did like Janet. I was a music entertainer. I toured. Everybody handed me drugs. I didn't think anything of drinking. And, I quit. And now I can't even believe my life is what it is. It's like looking at somebody else's life. It has just been.
My alcohol intake is. I like my rum. I like my cider. But I don't let it dominate me.
Well, not everybody's an alcoholic.
And
it's an allergy. It really is.
I actually had somebody that when they found out how much pain I'm in, they were asking me if I used alcohol to help with the pain. And I've got family members on my mom's side of the family that alcoholism and drug addiction runs through that side of the family so much. I've been extremely cautious when it comes to my medicines. I mean, I don't take full doses of my medicine because I'm scared of getting addicted to it. So I've tried my best to hold it over there. My dad's side of the family, which I inherited my alcohol tolerance to, my grandfather used to take a glass this big of bourbon every day and drink it like it was a glass of water, set it down, and then go back to work in the garden or in the carpentry shop when he would get home from his main job to help with the pain issues that he was dealing with. And getting drunk was just not something we did. My dad was terrified of me beginning to become an alcoholic. Anytime he saw me with a beer in my hand, he would lose his shit. And it took my grandfather reading him the riot act to get him to stop that. It's like, have you ever seen how much he drinks? He'll drink one beer and that's it, because he likes the taste of it. Leave him alone. Now, if he was drinking a suitcase of them, then you'd have a reason to freak the hell out. And Dad actually apologized for that, but he kept telling me that he was afraid I'd end up like my my other grandfather, who had crawled into a bottle after what he dealt with at Pearl Harbor. Because Pa Smith had crawled into a bottle in 1941, and he didn't come out of the bottle until 1971 when I was born. And he didn't want that for me.
Yeah, we had in American space, someone announced today was 18 months for them. And I'd really love to hear those stories, because it's a one day at a time thing.
Mm-hmm.
And before you know it, you got over 30 years like me. And you look back and you think, when I was in my young 20s, divorces, other shit, you know, whether I did something great, successful, I drank over everything. And 15 years into my sobriety, a drunk driver killed one of my children, and I didn't take a drink. You know, I don't know. Drinking never made anything my life better. Nothing. But the things that I've got through without drinking, that I used to have excuses and all that, no, I have coping skills now. Right, and all of that developed from having a patterned life of, you know, I'm powerless, I need a higher power, God help me, you know, and then doing an inventory, what's my role in this? If I've got a resentment, go talk to whoever it is, because the resentment's like drinking the poison, expecting the other person to die. And then you evaluate your character and get rid of the things that harm you. And then you look at your life and say, well, have I not done something that I should have done today? Which we literally talked about with the kids saving somebody's life, 2 of them. And then you make a list of people that you owe things to, and then you go talk to those people and make amends. And if you do that every day, that's like there's a one step that explains how to do that to you. And when you're good at that, you have ceased fighting anything and anyone. And if I wake up every day and thank and ask God, you know, guide my steps. And every night before I go to sleep, I thank Him at the end of the day for every blessing He gave me. And I try to help anybody who comes to me, and I don't care what they need. If they're coming to me about drug court or breakups, family, whatever, I tell them what I do that changed my life. And then they can either pick the tools up off the ground and start building a life, but I can lead a horse to water. So and what's so weird, I had to go to AA when I was 15 years old. And I got it. But it took me 19 years from that point to understand, dude, you're Irish, you're Native American, and you are allergic to alcohol. You cannot take one drink. And so it really is a genetic thing. And most people really don't realize that. Because I'm around people that drink all the time. If I'm taking somebody out for work when I'm traveling, I literally buy their alcohol. I'm like, yeah, whatever, you know. But if I see them, if I see
that again, what'd you say? You're what? I have Native American in me. I'm also some Welsh and Italian, and I can't remember what the other one is. I'd have to go look.
Well, let me. our liver doesn't detox alcohol. So what you end up having is pure alcohol goes to your brain. So most people who, when they take their first drink and they say, I was 15 feet tall and, undefeatable, that reaction tells you that the alcohol is not being metabolized before it goes to your brain. So some people can do that and they realize, oh my God, well, all I got to do is take one shot and I'm drunker than, like what he was saying. His grandfather was drinking this great big huge thing of whiskey every day. Well, his liver detoxed it. And he didn't have that rush of alcohol in his brain. So my dad was a heavy drinker. So help me God, a quart a day, whatever. He never seemed like an alcoholic, but then he started having DUIs late in life and all this other shit. And my last years in AA, I only went for him. I would sit in there with him, hoping and praying that he would quit. And then he ended up dying from alcohol poisoning because my brother was illegally bringing him alcohol. My brother bribed a nurse at his nursing home to bring it to him when he wasn't in town. And then my dumbass dad was getting on his wheelchair and going down to the bar that they had for people that weren't like him and ordering wine. And so with three different people supplying it to him, he drank himself to death.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, he was two presidents, doctors.
Because there's some in every family. The one person that, even though the person's on their deathbed or whatever, this person will sneak in extra drugs or food they're not supposed to have or whatever it is, and that's why when I'm with certain people, I just say the enabler is not allowed to come. This situation, that person is not allowed in the room alone with this person.
Hold on. I have one thing to say to that.
Okay.
If I'm on my deathbed, I'm at some place that's forcing me to be a vegetarian, somebody damn well better be bringing me a nice thick steak. Because sorry.
At the time, we didn't know that this was their deathbed. We just thought they were, going to have surgery or whatever else. And it was because later, after they died, they had a stroke or whatever it was. And we found out that they were taking 3 times the amount of medicine they were supposed to because people were bringing it to them. They probably wouldn't have had a stroke.
You just reminded me of something hilarious. So I'm a nurse, brand new in it, and I was working in the GI post-op. And there was an obese woman in there. She'd come in there and have that, get tied up, whatever. And so she had the biggest tits, man. And she was older, so they hung down. And I picked one of them up to wipe under there, and I was like, what the fuck? I take out this melted Snicker bar, and she goes, oh my God, I wondered where I put that, and she ate it.
Oh God.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
You're not
so
supposed to say that,
you can get addicted to a lot of shit that kills you.
Yeah.
Yep.
But can I go ahead and do this next thing about DeSantis? I thought was very, very good. But I want to show you something after I talk about it. It says that Governor Ron DeSantis has just signed a new law banning Sharia law from being enforced anywhere in the state of Florida. Sharia law and Islam are incapable with America. So this is how they feel in this state of Florida, right? So they voted for him, and he passed this because he believes that his people, this is what they want, and that since we're a law, are basically a Christian nation, even though we had a president that said we are no longer a Christian nation, DeSantis believes Florida still is. But I did this, but then I went down and I read the very first post. Solving a non-existing problem. Very Republican. What do you guys think of that that reply to this post?
Whoever said that has their head in the sand.
I know.
That's right.
Okay, in
There's
Texas
millions of them.
alone, there was a Muslim imam that was running around to various convenience stores and demanding that they remove all pork products and alcohol and lottery tickets from their stores. Because he first started doing it at convenience stores that had been owned by Muslims, saying you can't be a good Muslim while running a store while you're selling pork products, alcohol, or lottery tickets.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw
Okay,
that.
and some of them actually said, "Okay, we'll take that out." Well, when he succeeded in getting some of the Muslims to do what he wanted, he then turned and started going to the non-Muslims and trying to force it on them.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's what they do in every country they've ever been in.
Yep. That's what's been going on
in.
That's what's going on in the UK. It's been going on in. Oh boy, have we been seeing it happening in France and Germany. Germany just declared that they're going to start using their anti-Nazi laws to go after the Islamists there in Germany. After the Muslim crazy dude drove the car through a pride parade in Berlin. He drove through them. When he couldn't keep driving, he got out of his car and started stabbing people. Same day that happened in Paris, France, some crazy Muslim dude took 2 knives and was going through a plaza and started stabbing women there, including a pregnant woman.
But I wanted to read some of these. I clicked because I wanted to read you some of these, and this gives me a faith also in our country that most people don't see. They would see the one post that this guy wrote and be pissed off and think, well, we got a whole bunch of these dumbasses, but the fact that he added the little tidbit at the end, solving a non-existing problem, very Republican. So he had to do that stab on a conservative like me. This is one reason why I believe that I got demonetized on YouTube, because people report me because they don't like what I say. They don't like that I'm a Christian. They don't like that I'm a nerd, that I support this administration, whatever it is. It could be a multiple things. It might be all of it. Maybe they just don't, maybe I remind them of their ex-wife. I mean, I don't know. But what I'm saying is, because of that, is what I think why they don't like me. But that's fine. I don't expect to make any money off it. I pay monthly anyways to be able to stream. But listen to some of these other posts. He posted that, very Republican, and someone said, it's called being proactive, but of course you don't understand that. And then his reply, dude, only 1.3% of the US population are Muslim. They'll never be a majority. Okay, listen to this. Fuck your European sense of cuckoldery. Your continent will be dominated by Muslims in 20 years. Won't happen. You live in Europe. Go fuck yourself. So we got people that are going to say that ain't going to happen. These people are proud to be in Florida, and they're proud of what their governor just did to save them.
You see that Ukraine flag?
Yeah.
Do you know it's a violation of the flag laws to have the United States flag equal to any other flag? And we got people in Congress that wear, and I mean on both sides of the aisle, that wear a divided pin that equal Ukraine and the United States. I would like to see those people ousted from Congress. I'm so sick of seeing that shit.
Look at this person took a picture of his profile And it's showing it because he's from Europe, and he's making these comments. But see, these are people. I wanted you to see this because I'm showing you Americans that are fighting for their country right here in this little dialogue that most people don't even notice. They just go right past it. They just want their first click, and then they go on to the next one to click and the next one to click. They don't actually read the effect of what the post did in the first place. To me, that's the most important part, is seeing the effect that it has on other people. And this is the best way to do it. And man, there's a bunch of Americans in here fighting for America and for what she stands for. And I'm proud of these people. I am. I mean, look, they're showing this guy. He's a total cuck. He's probably he probably might be Muslim. I don't know. But what I'm saying is he's oblivious to what's happening in his own country. So he has to get on here and attack Americans to make them feel manly. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to be a bitch. I'm really not. I'm telling the truth because it's right here in front of me. It's right in front of me.
This has been a major problem in Europe with the massive migration of Muslims into European countries.
Yeah.
They've been bringing this shit with them because they don't assimilate. We're seeing it. We've seen it massively in the United Kingdom. We're seeing riots. There's entire areas in France that are no-go zones if you're not Muslim.
Yeah.
I've got friends of mine that are Jews that talk about the fact, how Jews are supposed to wear their little skull cap.
Yeah.
There is a major market for the skull caps that are basically wigs that can blend into your hair so people can't see it, because so many Jews were getting stabbed and attacked by Muslims in France.
It's terrible.
Then you've got in Germany, one of the most popular things in Germany during the winter is not just Oktoberfest. You had Christmas villages where entire sections of town would be set up for Christmas, that they've had to start embedding these big, thick metal and concrete poles into the ground to keep them from having people driving massive fucking trucks through them. There was a YouTuber called Say 10 and his Truck of Peace satire animations that came about because of the fact that there were Muslims going and renting these big, huge honking trucks and using them for terror attacks in Europe.
The irony of the Ukraine thing. Netanyahu and Zelensky both met Trump, both asking for money. And most of the people who migrated down to Israel were Jews who lived in the Ukraine area, because they had concentration camps during that time in Russia too. So basically they're enemies, and they're both standing side by side asking Trump for money for a war. He told them both to go to hell.
Well, the thing in the Ukraine,
it's our president, not theirs.
Right.
All right,
it's our money, not his.
The thing with the Ukraine that has me, I'm old enough to remember this because I was there in the 1990s when the Soviet Union collapsed. The third largest nuclear powered nation, who had the third largest nuclear arsenal on Earth, was the Ukraine, because they inherited that Soviet nuclear arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember bomb alerts? Where if they go level 4, you couldn't go to sleep? Oh,
Yeah, I
Jesus
remember all
Christ. If
that.
you worked in Czech, right by the Czech border back in those days, man, it was hell when they went to bomb alert.
Now, the thing that gets me about this, we promised the Ukraine this. If you give up your nukes, if Russia declares war on you and attacks you, we're going to come in and protect you. But we also promised the Russians that NATO membership would never be offered to the Ukraine. The Ukraine would be allowed to stay neutral. Now, which administration was pushing the hardest for the Ukraine to join NATO in violation of that agreement with Russia?
Well, we know their names. You know what's so bad? That skiff, when they were in there trying to say Trump made a phone call, not every one of the people who was behind that testified in that. Yeah.
This is the hint of the initials of the person that was sitting in office that pushed the hardest to get the Ukraine to join NATO.
Yeah. Do you know what happened when he decided to make Hillary Clinton the Secretary of State?
Yeah.
He went through the roof, right? It's like, okay, you can be vice president, whatever, and they're having all their chit chats. He goes over there, takes a bribe from the wrong side. Then he publicly says, I'm not giving you this money. And his son's over there on oil company boards as an advisor. He probably doesn't even know how to put gas in his own car. And that is where all of that started. That's how we implanted him. 2014. And then I mentioned this the other night, how Tony Blinken went over there the day he canceled the elections, and he was performing, playing guitar and singing, rocking in the free world. Yeah, you can look that up.
Well, when it comes to Iran, Trump has been saying since the 80s that Iran must never, ever get a nuclear weapon or nuclear fissionable materials to make a dirty bomb.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't new for him. I'm also of the mind we should have taken all of the old Liberator pistols that we still have in stockpiles and give it to the Iranian people so they can rise up and kick the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps' ass themselves. That way we've got aerial superiority. Shouldn't be that hard for us to take some planes and parachute in crates of these Liberator pistols to arm the Iranian people so they can stand up and liberate themselves.
Maybe something like that's already in the works.
I hope so.
So that's
I really do.
I really do believe that they've got something planned, but they have to let the people of the country and the people around the country that are in the other countries around it see that they're trying to keep straight open and let legal traffic go through there without being attacked, and what their own government and their military are going to do to their country. See what I mean? They have to.
What a lot of people don't know about Iran is that Islam is not the predominant religion there, even though they claim it.
Yeah.
The predominant religion was Zoroastrianism. The Persian culture is not a Muslim culture. And it's one of those things that aggravates the heck out of me. It's also the fact that it's the Iranian Revolutionary Guard and the ruling regime of Iran is controlled by the Twelvers. If you don't know who the Twelvers are, they're an apocalyptic cult that's based in Islam. They actually want to bring about the end times. And they believe by causing enough death, destruction, and chaos, it's going to cause the 12th Imam to crawl out of that little well he's hiding in Syria and start all this stuff. And if you've read the Quran and the Bible, the book of Revelations and the Apocalypse, and you compare them, the 12th Imam is identical to AC, the Antichrist. Everything that the 12th Imam is supposed to do that the Muslims are wanting to see happen, the Antichrist is supposed to do in the book of Revelation.
So does that basically explain or say that maybe Ishmael's relatives are bringing on the end of times?
That's the thing.
Okay, the news that I think is the most important from the last couple of days, and he talked about all of it in his emergency cabinet meeting today. The Abraham Accords are strengthening incredibly, and he has armed Saudi Arabia and these other countries that are being attacked by the Iranians. I think that was a really stupid chess move on their part, because basically it armed people that they thought were allies against them. And then the Abraham Accords, which is a peace movement. And then on top of that, Hamas announced in the last 48 hours that they want to put their weapons down.
Yeah.
All of that happened in 48 hours.
The thing that's got me is the fact that the Iranian regime is the one that has been bankrolling terrorism since the 80s. We've got the proof. It's right there.
Except for the $6 billion Obama took them on the pallet.
Pallets of cash in the middle of the night. Yeah.
Yeah. After that happened, you'll notice a lot of those terror groups got a buttload of money pushed into them. And they were able to, you saw a renaissance of it. And I agree with Hardwick on this one. I don't trust Hamas to ever put their weapons down.
They won't.
Because these people are dedicated to the
That's
whole.
all they have.
Yeah.
That's all they have. They're not going to.
And the thing that gets me the most about the so-called Palestinians, they had a chance to stay in Israel and be part of Israel. But they were told by Jordanians, the Syrians, the Lebanese, and the Egyptians, come over here for now. We're going to invade and we're going to wipe them all out. We're going to go kill all the Jews, and then you can have it all back. And then when they lost, they forced the Palestinians to live in refugee camps. They would not allow them to assimilate into their own cultures.
Well, I saw a report months ago, or maybe 6 weeks, I guess, that Iran had $30 million left to operate their country. So that means that Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis are not getting money from Iran, and it's breaking down these groups. So, you know, the Houthis have got some missiles, Hezbollah's got some missiles, Hamas is spent, and Bibi's ready to go in. So right when all of that first broke out, Elon went over there, and he and Bibi walked through some of the areas where they bombed. And Elon put out an offer to the Palestinians. And he said, if you'll end this war, I'll start by bringing $400 million over here, and we'll fix your water pipes, modernize your cities, and do all of these things. Well, that's what's included in them putting their arms down. So I think that may actually happen because they've lost their funds. They have an enemy they cannot beat. And I don't think any of them want to die. I just don't. And as the Abraham Accords strengthen, that's just going to be better.
The problem with that is the fact that the Israelis were sending in massive amounts of money to try to help the Palestinian Authority to rebuild and to establish a stable infrastructure and government.
Yeah, weren't they going to help them build like resorts and all this different stuff so they could all have
that money
and everything? Yeah, I remember that.
All the money, all the concrete, all the pipes, and all this stuff that they were sending in to the Palestinian Authority to do this construction work. The Iron Dome that kept knocking down their rockets and their missiles. They're taking the parts of these rockets and missiles and putting them back together again. And guess what they're finding out these rockets and missiles are made out of?
The stuff they sent over there.
Exactly.
And okay, so let's talk about the money trail a minute. And some of Trump's others moves. You got to understand he's playing 5-level chess, and they're on checkerboards. So we knew about the money in Minnesota. And so what we started doing was we were trying to track the money that the Muslim Brotherhood, who were a stronghold there, working hand in hand with Ilhan Omar and her gang. So the USAID money was going to the Muslim Brotherhood, who were then sending it to Yemen, and the Muslim Brotherhood was who had control of Palestine. So yeah, they use the Houthis and all that, but what they were doing is funding them. So there's this huge double whammy of they're not getting money from Iran, and they lost all of the dirty USAID money that the Muslim Brotherhood was stealing from the economy and then sending over there to support that war. So it goes a little bit deeper, and if you start looking at all that, if you really want to kill somebody's shit, and this Trump said this today in his thing, he said, we're going to starve them out. If they don't want to do that, they're not going to have money. They won't have resources. They won't have food. If you really want to defeat an enemy and you've got the kind of power that Russia has or China or America or any other, what you do is you collapse their economy. And that happened a long time ago. And then I watch a lot of stuff that comes out of Iran. So southern Iran is where they went and killed the 40,000 people. And that's a whole different set of people than the IRGC who are up in the north in Tehran. So it's sort of civil war going on right now. Now, Reza Pahlavi has already put together a sort of a government to go in there. But it's going to take, and it's not a government, I shouldn't say that. What it is a board of people to go in and allow the Iranian people to vote on whether they want a monarch, whether they want a Western democracy with a parliament or whatever. And all of these talks are going on behind the scenes. So if you can watch Reza Pahlavi on YouTube. He always gives great updates. He explains all of it clearly. There are westernized Iranians all over, children of when in 78, 74, when it was a Western culture. So in a war so complicated and so long, the strategic moves usually get done behind the scenes.
Well, isn't there like a prince or something that was
Reza Pahlavi?
Okay, so I've seen him do a couple of interviews, and he said he wants to go back.
Yeah, the people want him to come back.
So but the thing is, he knows as soon as he gets there, the way it is, that he'll just be put to death. So,
Well,
he hasn't been
absolutely,
able to
and
go
that's
back.
what the hesitation is. But
Yeah,
they
so
started riots in the South again. It's confusing to me because I have to be up 24 hours a day, and I'm not sure if it was our day yesterday, their last night, or the day before that same scenario. But they started, but you won't get that up in Tehran because that's where they were all carrying the Trump hanging and kill America and all this other shit.
Yeah, and
And
Trump in
it's
a coffin.
yes,
Yeah, I
So
saw
that's
that.
where
yeah, it's tribal. Victor
that
Davis
area.
Hanson is brilliant with all of this kind of stuff because I know it, but I can't explain it like him. A 50-year college professor in the State Department,
All right.
and he
The
knows.
area around Tehran is so much under the control of the Iranian regime because that's where all the leadership is at. That's why they have the most control there. Now, the Iranian people have been wanting to see a return to the Shah for a good 20 to 30 years now. And yeah, this guy's daddy did go a little authoritarian, but that was because people were trying to kill his ass. Because they kept trying to kill him because he was modernizing Iran.
He was Western. I monitor the water situation. And so when I checked those reports this week, their water supply for that entire area for 15 to 30 million people is running at about 8%. Everyone has to have bottles. The pipes all leak so much there's not enough pressure to supply that minimal amount of water. They have water rationing. They can only use water for so many days, and then people are having to go get it. And then sometimes there's no water to go get. Now, the first great big riots that broke out that started the killing that he went and did in the South actually started in the North from the supporters of the IRGC because they wouldn't do something about the water. So I've put forth a big plan and for them in negotiations to fix all of those pipes, use the leaking pipes currently now and start growing crops up in there and put some small things. But they can't do that because they take all the oil money, the black market oil money they're getting from the South, the money that goes through the pipelines to Russia and China and the Silk Road mess, and they spend that money only to develop weapons. So no matter what side they're on in Iran, they're sick of that game, and they would like to see that $60 billion a year go back into the people to develop things like what I just mentioned, and spread the country out a little bit, green it up a little bit, grow food and all that kind of stuff. And they all want the internet. They all want everything that we want. The IRGC is like a snake. You try to kill its poison, and you hit him halfway down the back, and he's done, but don't let him bite you.
Well, the thing with this is the fact that before the Iranian Revolution happened, Iran was the most pro-Western country in that entire region, including Israel. Okay, the Shah had modernized. If you look at the videos and the pictures of what Iran looked like back then, it looked like you were in a European country. The same thing could be said for Afghanistan because of what happened with the Soviet occupation and the fact that the United States did not keep our promise to the Afghani people that we would come in after we got the Soviets out and help them rebuild. and Hardwick's rice. Lebanon also used to be really nice. We
Well,
promised.
he was Khomeini, not Khomeini, the first one, Khomeini, was living in asylum in England, and he convinced MI6 and the United States that if they would support him, then he would end the corruption of all of the money that we sent to Iran, that the Shah was living, driving $500,000 cars and all this other shit and living high off the hog and starving his people. And the day that he got there, he announced jihad, called America the Great Satan. That was the very first time that you ever heard that said. And he started saying, we're going to wipe Israel out. And literally our CIA got psyoped by him on that with help of some MI6.
Let me say this. All right, Jimmy Carter did all that shit.
That's right.
Now, Bob Beckel, he used to be one of the talking heads. He was the liberal talking head on the 5 that they had right after Glenn Beck left Fox News.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Beckel was part of the State Department and was one of the advisors of Jimmy Carter, who actually was dumb enough to admit to the fact he was one of the biggest supporters for getting the Ayatollah to return to Iran. That he was able to convince Jimmy Carter not to listen to the CIA, not to listen to the Joint Chiefs of Staff, saying, no, this guy's he's a holy man. He's above politics. Let's get him over there and remove the Shah, who we see is this big, corrupt, evil bastard.
Mm-hmm.
Just weeks after Jimmy Carter and his wife had met with the Shah and his wife, and Jimmy Carter had hugged the Shah, kissed him on the cheek, and told him, "You're our strongest ally we've ever had." And we stabbed him in the back. The ties between Iran and the United States wasn't like this. It was like that. It was super tight. The cutting edge military technology of the time was the F-14 Tomcat, the Hellfire missile, the M1 Abrams, and the M16A2, I think it was at the time. These were weapon systems that we weren't allowing to be built outside the United States, except we allowed them to build them in Iran. That was how tight we were at the time. That's why before we shot them all down, the only country still flying the F-14 was Iran. Their current gun, I can't remember the name of it, is basically a retooled M16. Their tank is a retooled M1 Abrams.
Do you know how far it is from Tehran to Moscow? It's 650 something kilometers, about 450 miles. And our relationship with Tehran was a deterrent to Moscow.
Yes. And we allowed stupidity, i.e., Jimmy Carter, to fuck us up. Yes, that's how tight we were with Iran. And the fact that the Shah was modernizing Iran at such a rapid pace that it was so European and cosmopolitan in Iran, it wasn't even funny. It was extremely forward-thinking and progressive. Women could walk around in mini skirts and these sexy go-go boots that looked like really, really good, you know? The beaches look like the beaches on the French Riviera. The place was modern.
It was beautiful.
And you could be openly gay there. Have you seen the movie Argo?
I don't think so.
All right, there's a scene in the movie Argo which takes place during the Iranian Revolution where the CIA is sneaking in to rescue the hostages that the embassy staff that was able to escape from the embassy before they got captured to become hostages, that were hiding in the Canadian embassy's basement. And the whole thing about Argo was them going in and doing it. And there's a scene in that movie where they're driving into Tehran and there's cranes with men hanging from them. Guess who those dudes that were hanging were?
No.
They were fabulous dudes, okay? Nowadays, remember when the Iranian leader came to speak before Columbia a few years back, and he was sitting there making the statement, there are no gay people in Iran. And the left was sitting there celebrating the fact that the Iranian government was paying for trans surgeries, completely ignoring the fact that whenever the Iranians would capture a gay dude, they would give him two choices. You see that big, tall hospital right there? You either go up halfway up into a surgical center and we cut your giblets off and turn you into a girl, or you go up to the roof and we're going to find out if you're Superman.
Well, you know what I think is interesting about this line of conversation is the lather, rinse, repeat of taking the Oxford-trained Bashir al-Assad out of Syria and his wife that he married in England, right? And everybody gets a great idea to overthrow him. And then they're shooting these videos out in Aleppo, which at one time was the largest collection of Christians in the world. And they took them down to the river and beheaded them on the side of the river. And then in the end of looking into all that, it turned out to be Prigozhin and the Wagner group who were supporting that genocide. So, you know, they initially reported 600,000 people, whatever. We figured out it was 30,000. But getting Bashar al-Assad, who was very Western, out of there, and then the next thing you know, Wagner group's there and 5,000 of the most elite Chinese soldiers in the world that came to the border at Lebanon and Turkey to protect the Syrian border. And at the same time, we got Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama getting weapons from Yemen, taking them to the Benghazi consulate, and then issuing them. And when Obama goes, oh, they're the JV team. And he changed it from ISIS to ISIL, which just changed the S to Levant, the L. So that was the same thing, CIA and all this other shit, undermining the president and his role in global politics.
Well, that's just it. Obama was all for it. And unfortunately, the same people that ran it back then is still running it today.
Yeah, and he was wanting to start the end. That's why a lot of people were saying that he was the one.
That's why I keep that's why I keep bringing up
the one in the bottom of the well, and it was Obama.
Well, that's why I keep bringing up the 12ers. Is the fact that this is it's a Shia, part of the Shia sect. The lunatics of the Sunni sect are the Wahhabists, which the Wahhabists created Al Qaeda. But the 12ers are the psychos who actually want to bring about the end times. The Wahhabists, on the other hand, want to bring about a return to the ideals of the Islamic Caliphate under Muhammad, which is basically brutality of spreading Islam by the sword.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can tell you a big transition that occurred. John Brennan was one of the most hated people ever in the CIA, and he was a pencil pusher, and his boss was a female. When Obama put him over the CIA, he walked in her office and fired her, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's his history. He was at at the bureau in Saudi Arabia, and he converted to Islam.
If I remember
John
right,
Brennan.
he actually went to Mecca to do his conversion.
That's right. Right. So Obama put a Muslim, an American convert, over the CIA. He was the one who was actually running the weapons trafficking. But the way that really came about was that stupid server that Hillary Clinton had up there in Chappaquiddick. Now, I don't know that this guy was assassinated because of this, but that Bahamian chef who died at the lake behind the place up on Martha's Vineyard had come forward and said that there was a government, what he thought was a government computer in the basement down there, and it was basically doing everything they had done with the server at Chappaquiddick.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't put it past them, but then again,
you know that where the guy drowned, he was like 6'1". He drowned in 4 feet of water.
Well,
and he had crack in his blood.
Yeah, and he had head contusions.
That's right.
Now, I don't put anything past the Obamas because I've actually got a 3-page long list of all the shit that Obama did while he was in office that was not just a violation of the Constitution and international law, but was just plain violations of human rights, period, and would be classified as crimes against humanity as a whole.
Everything I've ever said about how I feel in all of the shows that I've ever done about Hillary Clinton, how I feel about her, that's why her and Obama are like equals. They're like
and that's
partners
the thing
in
is,
crime.
they hate each other.
They're like partners in crime. They both want the same things.
Yeah, but they personally hate each other. That's one of the reasons
but
why.
sometimes you have to work with your enemies to get what you want.
Yeah.
Because your enemy is my enemy is their enemy. See what I mean?
Let's go back to your TV cut scene.
Okay.
They have a common enemy, the Christian.
Well, yeah, that too. But the reason I chose this thing is because this goes back to what we're talking about, the whole thing with Islam, okay, and about its effect in our own country, like what we were reading with all the comments and stuff, and what's going on over right now in this other country, and people like I feel Mandami don't want what's going on with Trump to be successful because they feel like they're leaps and bounds ahead. And now look, we're taking over New York. We're conquering America. See, that's their process and how they look at things. At least that's the way I'm seeing it from standing back and looking in and using common sense. That it looks that way to me. And I can tell you right now, I've already told many people I'll die on my front porch before anybody's going to put a hijab on me. I can tell you that.
Okay,
That's
so
not going to happen.
the Alinsky method, which is rules for radicals, there's 12 of them, is the model that they use for this progressive left situation. And inside there it says seize medical care, seize children and make them property of the state, Well, there's some of them. One of those says it's not what you have, it's what they think you have. So when Obama seized the media and said, you can only say this, you can only say this, you can only say this, and Mom Dommy's doing it right now. They're trying to recall, unelect him. Everyone's, all the money left New York and all this, and everybody's go, oh, hang on, maybe we should change our mind. And so the media makes it sounds like he's got all this, and he doesn't. And they do the same thing with Iran right now. Iran is done, right? It's like, why wouldn't you give up and spare people's lives? Right? And so when they falsify all this information, what they're trying to do is make you seem like something is bigger than it is. They even did that with COVID. And they were asking Fauci about it this week.
They do it with everything.
They do it with everything. That's right. It's not what you have, it's what they think you have. That's one of the main parts of the Alinsky method. And to add to that, when Hillary got her graduate thesis was on Saul Alinsky, who wrote that book.
The book of The Rules for Radicals.
Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky, right.
And also the Cloward and Piven strategy of overwhelming the social safety net. That was the whole point of Cloward and Piven, which tied into the Great Society spending the Social Security Trust Fund. All that money that was just sitting there, and they just spent it all. And then they started increasing and expanding all of the social safety net programs and spent all that money so it would the federal government would go broke.
Yeah, but also it works, okay?
Yeah.
Because if a person can get welfare, okay, make a certain amount of money every month and have a place to live and a roof over their head and food where they don't have to work because they're collecting it from the government, what incentive do they have to go down there and make burgers when they're going to make less money overall and not have a place to live? They have to find a place to live, to do all these other things. They incentivize doing nothing. So if you don't get married, you get this much money. If you have a bunch of kids, you get this much money. See, they make it look like, look how great it is. And you don't have to do anything besides live and enjoy your life. And we're going to take care of you. But to keep it, if you don't vote for us again, they're going to take it all away from you. See, they've got all these people pre-programmed to do all those things. And look, it's paying for them. I mean, look, New York has a mayor that's Muslim, and it wasn't even 20 years ago that supposed Muslims crashed into tall buildings and killed
25
thousands and thousands of people.
On 9/11, it'll be 25 years.
25 years, well, still. But that's why I wanted to play this, okay? Because this is what Scott thinks is going to happen if Mandami shows up at the 9/11 memorial and disrespects the families that died. So I wanted to share this because I think it's important, because this might be bigger than what anybody's making of it. I really do think it has there's a lot boiling under the surface right now with this. And I'm going to play this for you. Here we go.
I'm having a nice drive in my Sophia. And I had to pull over. I was going to wait till tomorrow to deliver this message. But I'm going to do it now. Because all you Monday morning quarterbacks follow every word that comes out of my mouth. And then you take it and you put it in your ingredients and deliver it. And that's all good and well. But I figured everybody's coming home from their beautiful Sunday, and I gotta let the cat out of the bag. See, I like being the bad guy because I'm right. I also like being the good guy because I'm right. But I'm gonna make a shitload of fucking enemies now. You see, if this fucking mayor, who's best friends with all of these fucking terrorists, Hassan Piker, who said Americans deserve 9/11. This is the mayor and his fucking wife who hate everything. If this fucking guy is allowed to show up at any, heed these fucking words, any 9/11 memorial service. That includes Ground Zero, Staten Island, where we lost more than any other county in America at 9/11, or any fucking where else. I will be there, not alone, with a shitload of motherfuckers to not only fuck up that ceremony, but to embarrass and humiliate every one of you family members who allow that to happen. I don't give a fuck how you come at me, what you call me. You're not my friend or my family member anymore. I don't give a fuck. If you allow this fucking jihad gypsy terrorist to show up at your family, your husband, that patriotic guy that you lost on 9/11, who's rolling over in his grave, thinking that this fucking cocksucker is going to show up, I'm going to be there for him and to humiliate you. Get that through all your motherfucking heads right now.
He's very upset about it. I really think, and he's got a lot of followers, and I've heard many people in spaces and on other platforms saying the same thing. So I really do believe that something bad might happen.
And I was just thinking the perfect thing at the end of that would have been a sound clip of the wrestler Steve Austin saying, "'Cause I'm stone cold, it's Steve Austin, and I said so."
Well, yeah, that too. But the thing is, I don't know. I'm really, I don't have a good feeling about it. I mean, I'm not saying that they don't have a right to feel this way, because their loved ones and their family, and it was their home, his home.
Well, maybe if he shows up, some people will do some things. You know,
he already said he's not going by himself. He's not going to be there by himself.
I'm going to have to say this. I hope not, because I don't want to see the Bubba effect go into effect. Because the moment the Bubba effect goes into effect, the shit's going to hit the fan, and a whole lot of bad shit's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
hey, they killed this week in Paris, in the United States, in Germany, and God, let's don't even talk about all the Christians they're killing in Uganda.
Believe me,
I don't care. We're already in it. We're just keep taking bullets, and we don't do anything about it.
Believe me, I know. I've got friends of mine that are still active in the intelligence community that's giving me briefings every couple of days on what's been going on. But I'm looking at this as somebody. I'm a disabled combat vet.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the best of humanity, and I've seen the worst of humanity.
That's right.
And I don't want to see the shit hit the fan the way things are right now, because that would be falling right into the hands of the globalists who want this. They want a reactionary action coming from the right wing, or an action they can blame on the right wing to discredit us and make us the bad guys.
Yeah, remember what happened with that young man that protected himself? And he had to go to court. I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. Kyle
Rittenhouse.
Okay. That whole thing, they brewed and destroyed property and just did all kinds of shit. And then a young person that felt that he was helping by defending people's property defended himself, because the video showed him being attacked, okay, and about to be shot, and he defended himself, and he handled that weapon like a champ. I mean,
he shot 3 people. He shot 3 people, hitting 2 pedophiles, a domestic abuser, and a rapist.
Yep.
Okay. And instead of them focusing on the fact that people who were attacking him being pedophiles, domestic abusers, and rapists, they lied about him carrying a gun across state lines, him not being from that area, even though that's where his job was at. That was why he was there. The people at his job volunteered to be there to help provide medical care to the protesters and to protect property from being attacked by the outsiders who were coming in and causing the problems.
Yes, I know. And the thing is,
and he started out supporting the protesters until they tried to kill him. He stated this, that he had been there supporting them, that he was carrying that first aid kit, that big ass first aid kit on his hip, was so he could provide medical care to the protesters. Because there was a lot of the protesters who did not trust the EMTs and paramedics that was on site.
Well, there's a big difference between me saying what's possible and what I want. But let me remind you that a congresswoman, a U.S. congresswoman from New York, in an area that's about as big as nothing, came to the South and used a gang term for drive-by killings and said maybe New York needs to pull up on the South. Now, if they're not going to go shut her mouth and throw her out of Congress for that, then we're not going to avoid the free-for-all. It is up to our elected officials to defend the Constitution of the United States of America and anyone who would subvert it.
My oath to protect and defend the Constitution, there's only one being in all of creation that can free me from that oath, and that's God.
Well, I mean,
the left died, he didn't relieve me from it.
The left media was inciting violence.
Yes. And they still are. That's the messed up thing. They still are.
That's not freedom of speech. That's anarchy. You are not free to commit anarchy.
They
not
are
part of the
still
game.
Promoting the lies that are causing people to be scared of the president and Republicans. They keep pushing fascist, Nazi, Hitler. I'm sorry. I'm going to ask you guys a serious question here. All right. What sounds more like a fascist and a dictator? If you don't buy health insurance, we're going to fine you. Or how about we also toss in, if you don't get this vaccination, you can get fired.
Mm-hmm.
Or, hey, I think we're paying too much in taxes. You have the right to own your own personal gun. You have the right to speak your mind. Which side is sounding like the fascist? Which side is sounding like the dictator? Which
check
side
out
said,
Victor Davis Hanson
Yeah,
and
anti-fascist,
how he expresses. They pulled a revolution, and we are pulling a counter revolution. Our counter revolution is to bring back the First Amendment right they took away from us during COVID. Stop them from the second right attack. Fix the mercantile acts and all these other things in the third and the three branches of government. So
that right there? Yep, that right there. That medical tyranny should henceforth be known as Fauciism.
Yeah.
All right. I sent some stuff on Discord to Janet later to take a read over of some of the stuff I found about Fauci.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fauci is he has been a plague on this country since the 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
That man is the reason why we had the AIDS epidemic and the AIDS scare and fear.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And he knew what he was saying was bullshit back then, that you could catch AIDS by just breathing the same air as somebody who had HIV or had AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
He knew he was lying. He also knew that he was killing people when he was pushing his alternative treatments for AIDS that was making him money. He was making money off of that shit.
Have you guys seen the movie The Dallas Buyers Club?
Yes, that came from Fauci.
Yes.
Now,
yes, it did.
I am thinking about doing a deep dive on Fauci because this dude, like I said, he is the longest serving non-elected government official in American history. He's also the highest paid non-elected, unaccountable government official in American history. He's been doing this shit since the 1980s.
Mm-hmm.
He has
they're on it.
He is.
He didn't do it by himself.
No, he didn't. But he is the perfect example of the deep state. That he is the expert that they were turning to all the time. It's, oh man, I'm sorry, I'm getting so frustrated.
No, but it's because we understand, we see it, we've seen it for a long time, and it's frustrating because we don't understand how other people are so oblivious.
Wait till all the stuff about the organ trafficking and some of these disappeared kids and how they were flying people they previously sold down to the Bahamas, where they allow that by law. And the 40 million people who are trafficked worldwide, mostly for organ trafficking. They traffic humans in America for labor and for sex. But the rest of the world was behind organ transplant, and they were trying to bring that here. That's in the earlier show we did today, those rooms that we talked about it in the Zorro Ranch, where they were trying to do some of that stuff. And, you know,
one of the things that happened, the friends I have that's in the intelligence community, I asked them to keep their eyes out on the human trafficking whenever the World Cup came to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they wish they could, but they were keeping their eyes on some other stuff that was going on in the world at the time. And they knew the reason why I was asking to keep their eyes on it. because they know how I am when it comes to people hurting kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time we have the Super Bowl, the human trafficking shoots through the roof. All for the sex stuff,
Mm-hmm.
especially the underage stuff, because they have actually caught during the games this stuff going on where the in the starts with an S, ends with an M. I'm sorry,
There's a global human rights organization who maintains a website on human trafficking.
Stadium. That's it. That's the word. I'm sorry, my TBI was kicking in.
Yeah.
That they have caught inside the stadium this stuff going down. And it's one of the things that drives me nuts that it was happening, blatantly happening out in the open, and nobody was really calling attention to it. And those that were calling attention to it were getting called all kinds of BS. You're racist, you're bigot, you're a homophobe, blah, 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 blah. When you're just sitting there saying, look, they're doing this to kids. They're doing this to young women that ain't got no other options because they're here illegally, or their visas and their passports are being held by these people, forcing them to do this stuff. It's not cool. And that's one of the reasons why I call attention to it. Because when something is blatantly evil being done, and all we do is do nothing about it or say nothing about it, it allows the evil to happen. And we, who see it and know it's happening and do nothing and say nothing about it, is just as guilty as the person's doing it.
Yeah, I don't just not do anything. You know, I'm active in that. I mean, this conversation is going to leave me with PTSD. It's going to fire my PTSD. When I think about somebody touching a child, I think about skinning them alive. And not it. I see it. I see it because I went down to Juarez and saw how MS-13 would skin somebody who stole drug money or any of that stuff. And that's exactly what I would. Let me catch you fucking a kid. I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to skin you.
I've got several friends of mine that were Border Patrol agents have told me the stories of the stuff that they have seen. The rape trees. One of the guys was talking about finding little kids wandering around in the fucking desert without anything to eat or drink, with massive sunburn, all to keep the
Democrats in power
focused on that instead of all the shit that they were bringing
all
in.
to keep the Democrats in power. Oh, it's for the children. We love the children. And then AOC taking that white outfit and crying at a fence around the parking lot. It's like, oh my fucking God, man. When you think about this shit, man, it's like, oh, the fraud.
The thing is, you have to look at this, guys. We have to look at this. I know it's all bad stuff, but something's changing. We have people now in charge that are making a difference. They found almost all these kids that disappeared under Biden. They are arresting people left and right. I've showed it how many times on this show? All the huge arrests that they have and how many kids that they've saved, and they're finding homes for them and all the different things. So stuff is happening, and it's and because of people like us talking about it, sharing it, sharing information on what to do if you think someone's being trafficked, not to just approach them because that could be danger for the child or the woman or the kid, whoever's been taken. Different procedures that you have to do if you want to help. You have to try to follow the rules and do it the right way. And it's not the fastest way, okay? And that sucks. But this type of stuff can't be dealt with the same way that you would, discipline your teenager or something like that. This has to be done totally different because these are totally not the kind of people you want to deal with that are in the middle of this, because it's a lot of money. You can sell a child over and over again. You can only sell a bag of drugs once.
Yeah, don't let everybody off the hook.
I'm not.
We've got crack addicted mothers, women on fentanyl that will take their 12, 10, 9-year-old daughter and drop them off at the drug dealer's house just to get high. And I know it's happening.
Yeah, I know it is too. But what I'm saying is the difference today is that we have a different administration that's actually doing something compared to the Clintons, the Obamas, and Biden.
Yeah, and one of the biggest voices in the Islamic push, the jihadis, Abdul al-Sayed, gave a press conference today, and he said, I don't know why we got rid of the guy with the Nazi tattoo and beat his wives and raped women. He goes, I would rather have one of them and a child molester in office than a Pike. And he was referring to Fetterman, who was born Jewish.
Yeah.
I know, and that, but
it's messed up when the only sane. It's messed up when the only sane Democrat on the national level is John Fetterman, who had a massive stroke right before his election.
Hey, you know what? We've been going over 3.5 hours, and it's 2 o'clock.
I know.
Yeah, I'm gassed.
I'm dying.
I'm
so
gassed.
tired. But me too. I'm exhausted. But I want to say thank you to both of you guys for hanging out with me tonight. And we talked about some really good stuff. This was a really good, very informative, I feel, this whole show. Everything we offered, and it all connects together. When you step back and look at it, it all it just falls into place. And it's all up to us. It's up to us sharing, giving information is when we can, and voting. We can make a difference. We just have to believe in ourselves, and we have to believe in the people in our communities that we can do this. And it's one community at a time. And when you take over all the communities, you take back your state. Okay? And that's how we have to look at it.
It's like I say, the only way we're going to make this world a better place is by going out there and doing something.
That's right.
Be that positive.
I work every day.
We need to go out there and be that positive change we want to see. But we've got to do it with a smile on our face. We got to do it in such a way that inspires others to do it too. Be the change you want to see.
I'm not smiling in Mom Donnie's face or Abdul Syed's face because they literally say, I would love to kill you. And my thing is, if I got in that situation, well, here we are.
Here's what I would tell them. Come on.
That's what I'm saying.
Make my day. Make my day.
I'm right here, man.
Kill me. Let me go to heaven.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, I've died 5 times.
I mean, you're up there in the mountains in North Carolina. You know how the people do up there? Well, hell, boy, come on down. I'll leave the front porch light on for you.
Exactly.
Well, I just want to say thank you to guys again, and thank you for everyone who hung out with us tonight. And God bless America.
God bless America.
She sure needs it.
I love each and every one of you guys.
If you enjoy my content, feel free to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned so you won't miss out on anything. If you want me to stay independent, You can support me with the link in my bio at Buy Me a Coffee. You can also follow me on my other platforms. Thank you for listening.